You are listening to Within Tolerance, a podcast for a machinist by a machinist. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson of Protean Machining. And this week, first one of the year, first in-person of the year, Zap is in studio.
Yeah.
What is going on, buddy?
Back in the lab. Fired up.
Yeah. Well, so the last time we spoke was more recent for the listeners because I took 2 weeks off for, holidays, but you were in a different country, hanging out with Simon.
Yep.
Give us the update, man.
Yeah, so I got my head tattooed.
Yeah.
You all know that. And it's healed. And I was thinking about growing my hair back for like a second, then I got it, and I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm a bald guy now.
It looks great. Like I told you when you came over tonight, it was the first time I'd seen it in person. And like, had we not been close friends and talking all the time, I would have just thought you had always had it and like had hair covering it up because it just fits you so well.
Right. It's part of the tattoo daddy theme I got going on. But I don't know. It does work. It has not caused like any problems.
Right.
You know?
Well, you were wearing a headset the day after.
Yeah.
Which was insane.
It healed crazy fast. And problems, like work-wise or anything, because we are fortunate enough to work in an industry where it's like, can you get my shit done? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, fucking do it.
Right.
Whatever.
That was actually one question I forgot to put on the list, but my wife asked, rank that in terms of pain. Like, where was the worst pain for tattoos and where did that rank?
My stomach was the worst.
Okay.
By far. But that was because my stomach was 9 hours and 2 guys. Like it just took a really long time. Mm-hmm. The head really wasn't too bad.
Okay.
I would say like middle of the road. Like it was surprising how little pain it was. I mean, relatively speaking, they all obviously hurt to some level because you're getting fucking stabbed a lot. But it was fine. Like I'd say like solid 6 out of 10 in terms of pain. Like whatever.
Where was the easiest tattoo then?
The easiest tattoo?
Like which one hurt the least?
Probably my nun tattoo that I have on my thigh right here. That's a special one.
Yeah, only special people get to see that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that one's, but that was probably the easiest. It was just like chill.
Yeah.
The neck wasn't too bad.
Really?
Yeah. Like, yeah. I don't know. I think also I have like a fairly high pain tolerance. Mm-hmm. So, take it with a grain of salt.
Right.
Like I was telling somebody, like I have a really high tolerance to like pain medication and stuff. Mm-hmm. So like anytime I've gotten dental work, like when you get like Novocaine or whatever, almost every time I've had a cavity filled, it's worn off. And they're just like, finish. And it's like, all right. Yeah.
That is gross.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not good. It's not fun.
No.
But
So anyway, back to it. Got your head tattooed.
Yeah.
Made your train after our episode.
Yep. Yeah. We ate Indian food. That was good. That was pretty baller.
I bet.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then, made the train, went back to London, was like had a hotel like at the train station at Paddington Station, which was sick because it's a Hilton hotel. So I got to use points. So
awesome.
I didn't pay for a single hotel when I was there. I just used points the whole time. I used like 100,000 points and I'm back above where I was before.
That is wild.
Yeah. I stay in a lot of hotels.
Yeah.
So that was sick. Yeah. And like, and it worked out because I blew through my alarms and I was like, fuck. But I just like, grab my shit, go downstairs to this train station, just fucking away we go. And then I was good.
Sweet.
Basically got to the gate like as it was about to board. Mm-hmm. Like perfect timing. Beautiful.
Awesome.
That was sick. And yeah, I mean, like classic me is like I did that and then got into Boston, went home, grabbed my car and drove like 5 hours to New Jersey to have like a kickoff meeting.
Okay.
And that was interesting.
Yeah, Tom had asked as one of the questions, how was New Jersey?
Oh, right. So he's asking that because I was supposed to be in New Jersey this week.
Oh.
But classic. I
wouldn't be a Zap episode with like 40 schedule changes.
Right. This one wasn't me though, luckily. It's, I won't say that, shouldn't say the customer, but like fairly large company in New Jersey. I mean, I guess they're global, but we gotta have the machine. This has to be done by the end of the year. Like they're fucking hammering Maruka, who has to hammer fucking methods, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. They end up taking like the fucking part, the program is legitimately 2 tools. It's a rougher and a finisher, and that's it. Like, period. But they had to have the machine, so they're getting fucking 28 tool robo drill. Like advanced, like with like a 400 millimeter riser and all this other stuff. And it's like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
But they had to have it. Just whatever you can do, get it here, blah, blah, blah. Ships on the 16th, gets there on the 17th. Their floors aren't painted or something. So it's been in a fucking warehouse since the 17th. It won't get installed. It won't hit the floor until the 29th. So what was supposed to start this week is going to start in the first week of February.
Sweet.
Which is sick. I mean, truly, it is nice because it gives me a little bit more time to like clean some things up. Like it allowed me to come here.
Right.
So
yeah. I'm very glad then.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But that's going to be, so eventually I'll go there. But like that project's been very interesting because they're very big company.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, we kick it off. They're like, oh, we have the fixture designed. And this is like kind of an update about today where they're like, we have the fixture design. We're getting it made. We just need to make a plate, which I did to put it on the table. It's like sick. Which is fine. And then I get an email today. They're like, hey, so can you evaluate if the second op fixture is going to work, if it's going to work for the second op? And I've had a fucking day.
Yeah.
I've been really fired up all day. And I was like ready to fucking lose it. I'm like, wait. So I call the salesman and I was like, did you see this? And he's like, hold on, let me look. I'm like, it looks like they don't know if this fucking fixture is going to work. Like, how is that possible? And why did they ask this now that the fixture arrived yesterday, as opposed to, when we were in the meeting on like the 17th of December, over a month ago, when they were still making it? We could have this would have been like, oh, by the way, we should probably evaluate this quickly.
Right.
Like, never came up until it's here now. And it's like, okay, sick. Maruka was worried about my head tattoo. They like gave me a hat to wear to the but like when I go back, I'm not gonna fucking wear a hat. It doesn't matter. Like, what are they gonna do? Kick me out? Like, all right, thanks for the money.
Well, and also like, how is that the final straw? Right. Like every other inch of your body was we can look past that, but like but you touch the head.
Yeah.
That's
like, it's just, I don't know. It's just something people don't do. But so that was cool. And then where the fuck did I go after that? I went down.
You should just get a bunch of wigs.
I
think it'd be so funny. Yeah. Just like dreads and blonde hair and like just all kinds of crazy ones.
This is better, right?
Right. Yeah.
Get some fucking Goku hair.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to go Super Saiyan. And like, switch the wig.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah, so I did that.
Well, hold on. Let's go back. Yeah. So you went to New Jersey after Simon's.
Yep.
And then you spent quite a bit of time in Boise.
Right. But I was somewhere. Oh, right. Because I was doing the Amish thing.
Yes.
So I did the
Did you go back?
Yeah. So that was I split it up into, because they wanted the week, but I had this tattoo planned in the middle. And so I did part of it and got them going. And then they were able to they played with it a little bit. And then I did the meeting, and then I went back and I finished that up.
How did they feel about your tattoo?
They're fine.
Okay. I mean, if they're fine, anybody's
fine. Yeah. They were cool. And that was yeah, I had some pretty cool conversations. I think they crashed the fuck out of that machine.
Oh, no.
By accident. I mean, they're all almost always accidents.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I would hope they didn't do it on purpose.
Right. Oh, somebody has a crash update.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll get to that. Well, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the parts were big. They're like 6.5 inch diameter and like 10 inches long.
Oh, wow.
Like 4140.
Mm-hmm.
And they're only holding on like this much, like 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch.
Oh, geez.
And like a shunk. I mean, it's a good chuck, but I think it's very easy to misload it and the machine like recognize. So they think that what happened, because the part let loose and it threw the main spindle out of alignment.
Ooh, that is truly terrifying stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
That much mass spinning and letting loose.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's what makes lathes terrifying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of energy in those things.
Yep.
I remember somebody telling me, they're like, no, mills have more energy. It's like, the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
no.
When are you putting a 10-inch diameter tool in like a VF or whatever, like a Hermela?
Yeah.
Like maybe in like a giant ass machine. Sure, that makes sense. But like a little baby lathe will spin some massive parts.
Yeah.
Way faster.
Your tiny Cat 40 tool holder, even with like a 1-inch end mill, is nowhere near the kinetic energy.
Right. Yeah. I always found it like so fascinating. Like it's like, surface footage. But like the rules go out the window at some point. Like when I worked at the wheel manufacturer, like a 20-inch wheel, you'd spin at like 1,800 RPM. Like that's absurd surface footage.
Yeah. That also sounds terrifying.
It is. Like one of them let loose. I don't know if I've told that on here, but like the machines are really old and it had physical limit switches, and it was stuck.
This was a VTL?
Yeah.
Okay.
These VTLs were sick as an IMT, and so like it had a pallet changer where it would pick up it had 2 chucks, so it'd pick up the whole chuck and like change it. So you could use hydraulic work holding on the outside of the machine.
Damn.
They're specifically designed for wheels.
That's slick.
Very cool. It moved away from home, and then the limit switch like undepressed. So home position, it thought home was somewhere else.
Oh no.
And so then he had just finished setting up the machine, and they had crashed these machines so much you couldn't see inside of them. And I think this might have been one where they had just like welded a piece of steel over the glass.
Saved his life.
Literally couldn't, because like I was like the fucking factory was huge. It was like I was like a football field away, roughly, behind like a cinder block wall, and it sounded like a bomb was going off because it just came in full rapid with like a 3-inch boring bar and just wiped this thing out. And all you're holding on is the bead seat,
right?
Like, so not very much at all.
Yeah.
And it's a cast wheel, so it just blew the top tooling off the chuck. It was so loud. Oof. Yeah. So like laser wild. Laser really wild.
Yes, they certainly can be. So Amish, good.
Amish was good. And then I think I went back to Boise
right
after that. No, fuck. There's like a week there that I'm missing. I went back to Boise, I think, for a little bit, and then I went to California for Christmas.
Right.
And then after Christmas, I went to Pennsylvania.
Okay.
To see one of the listeners. His name's Ed. He works for a company. That was cool. Because this is like a really wild thing. Because their whole thing is I was like, what do you guys do here? And he's like, we drill holes. We're really good at drilling holes.
Oh, I remember you telling me about this.
And it's like, okay. And they bought like a Nakamura MX100 because the son took over, and he really they do well. They do turning really well, and he just wanted the capability. So we're like doing training and like kind of setting up a part or whatever, and that was okay. It was pretty good. I'm gonna go back. I need to go back there, but it's like, oh, we drill holes here, and it's like, okay. So, and he's like showing me around, and like they have these really wild, like manual, like they're manual machines, but they're drilling like 1,000 holes, and they'll spin, like it's like this little belt driven spindle where you just like, you know, like put the belt on, and now it's spinning, and they spin the part on like a V block, and that like creates this crazy concentricity.
Oh,
And that was cool. And but their demo part is, and like the thing that they hand out as like, this is our capability, is like a 1,000 wire through a like actual piece of hair. And I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, do you want to try it? And it's like, sure.
right.
And
in what world would you say no to that?
And I couldn't do it. It was hard. I was like, oh, you know, it's like, I can drill holes. Like, I thought everybody could drill holes.
Right.
And then it's like, oh no, I can't drill holes. that was wild. It was really.
Did you just miss the hair, or were you breaking drill bits?
Neither.
Oh,
like,
really?
It's the hair, like, because they essentially like have it on like this like strung across like two pieces of double-sided tape. So the hair just like moves. So like I'd start, and then it would just like I don't have the finesse. So like getting it to like not move fast enough that like I could get it to start, but then I would get too excited, and then I would slip off there. and I kept going and going and going, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna throw in the towel. Just show me how you do it. Like, just do it. And the guy just did it. You know, he's just like, oh, like this.
Right.
Just done, and
dashes all of your hopes of like, oh, this is just a bum hair. It doesn't actually work.
No, I mean, like, this is exactly what I figured would happen. Is he's just like, yeah, okay, and just like lined it up and fucking shot it. It's like cool, and then fed. He's like, the actual hard part's feeding the wire through it, and like the setup. I could post. I think I could post some pictures of the setup, because like it was bananas. Because you're like, you can't see it.
Right.
It's a fucking like a 1,210 drill. like everything. It's like cameras and microscopes and whatever. And you're like, all right, that's tight. That was really cool. So I'm pretty excited to go back to see those guys. There was a good time. And then, okay, yes. Then I went back to Boise, and I got into my apartment in Boise. So I live in Boise. And part of that was like, I guess we can get into like van update now.
Yeah. So we had a lot of people ask for van updates and then VF4 updates. So let's get into all that.
So I think this is like, so Matsura went down, and I put like 12 grand into it or something along those lines, and it didn't fix it.
Right.
So at that point, that was where I hadn't, like, Selway was quoting what it would take to fix it for real. But they're pretty sure it's like the cam box for the tool changer, which, you know, is like, it's a pain in the dick. It's a 23-year-old machine, 24-year-old machine now at this point. Like the parts exist.
I was shocked that they found the parts, because like we had a similar issue on a similar Metzer at my last job. Yeah. And when we tried to have them quote it, they were like, this part doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Which is, so it took them a really long time to quote it though, like weeks. And I was like, okay, so this is probably going to be really expensive. So I just went, you know, fucking got on the website.
CNC.
Yeah. And then shot the quote, like built the machine, shot it off, immediately texted the salesman in the area, because I know him, and I was like, hey, you're going to see a quote come through at some point for me.
Is this through King?
It's technically Gossiger.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay.
Like it was King, but then Gossiger bought them.
Okay.
And brought them into the family. And so then he calls like immediately, and we start chatting, and he's like, yeah, you know, we'll see what we got and whatever. And I initially spec'd out like a 15K. I think that was like the only thing that I didn't get that I initially spec'd out was a 15K spindle, because that was like $135,000
okay,
for what I initially spec'd. and he's like, hey, so if you don't need the 15K, there's a machine in stock, like from a canceled order, and we can do 12K, and it'll be like 107.
Oh, nice.
And it's like, sure, that's good enough. It's a pretty smoking deal. Put like a $9,000 tooling cert on there.
Sweet.
Which I've already spent.
What are the specs on the machine?
So
probing, I assume.
Yeah, right. So 12,000 RPM, only 30 tools, 30 plus one or whatever. That's good enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probing, 1,000 PSI, through spindle coolant, the Yager, high-speed machining, programmable coolant nozzle, because I like that thing. And I think that's really it.
Okay.
Like, but that's the gist, you know?
Sweet.
I don't know what else I could get beyond
TSC
that.
prep?
No, it has 1,000 PSI.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. 1,000 PSI too. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I went with 1,000. It's like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, you know? Because I drill pretty big holes, so want good. What?
Nothing. That's awesome. I think that's perfect for.
Mm-hmm.
So I think somebody had asked, like, what are your goals for it? Like, what's the workload looking like now? What are you hoping to do with it? All that stuff.
A couple of things. So obviously, it has 22 more inches in X than the Matsura did.
Awesome.
And like 2 more inches in Y, which, you know, I like a little more Y, like 24 inches in Y or whatever would probably be cooler, but whatever. Don't really do that much shit that is like big in both X and Y.
Right. You're not making full table subplates.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not yet, but this needs to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's probably just like not going to happen, you know? So the goal right now is obviously make fixtures. It immediately, like, legitimately bought the machine and got the project where we needed to make the plate, the 48-inch plate. Like, so first thing we put on it was a job that's the only machine in the shop that it could fit on. Sick. Takes like, I mean, I don't know, we got like $2,000 for the plate or something like that, and it was like 15 minutes of work. Yeah.
Awesome.
Which was dope. So and then the other aspect of it is we do a fuckload of house work, like a ton of house work. So being able to do turnkeys, like in our machine, like, and I confirmed this, is it's not like a Fanic or whatever where the drives get all wonky and it's weird. Like if I could coordinate it effectively, if a customer has a similar machine or whatever, just like a VF, like they could theoretically have the machine shipped to them and have the rotary and stuff. If it has a rotary, like shipped to me, I can install the drives, do the whole turnkey, and then pack it up and just like rip that shit out and send it to them and have it like just done. And so that is a big goal right there, which is being able to kind of control timeline a little bit better on some of these projects.
Right.
And one of our retainer customers was like, hey, look at this part. We're doing it like this now. What do you think? And I was like, oh, that's like some of the parts are like 30 inches long. It's like, kind of seems like a VF3, VF4 size part. And I was like, oh, because he's a retainer customer. He's like, I'll send you material on and the custom tool, and you just want to do some test cuts, paid test cuts. Like, sick. Yes, absolutely. So what I plan, like, what I have one, and I guess like this is also Easton's been bugging. I'm kind of feel bad about it, but like Easton's been bugging me to buy my like the quad plate that I have, the HWR quad plate that I have that's been sitting on the shelf. Probably not selling that. Yeah, probably not selling that now. And the table's 1,300 millimeters by like 500 millimeters, give or take. Like it's actually inches, but that's whatever. So that's 3 quad plates across it, that's money.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I'm getting my like wand on over here. I just fill the table as much as possible. But then when I was talking to the Haas guy about doing this, he's like, why not like half that and half Vero S? And it's like, why not all that and then 0 point pull stud the Vero S and put that on top, you know? put the 0 point the PPS system.
That's what I was just about to say is like, why not a third PPS since you do so much PPS work too?
Right. So I have the PPS. So like put pull studs in that thing and be able to drop that on all the vices, put pull studs on that. The Vero OS put pull studs on that. So being able to just like very quickly like spool up work holding for whatever the customer is doing. Yeah. And like, and like move the vices around for different plates. So like that's the plan right now. We got PG, which is sick. That's mostly because X2 already had the pump and everything.
Sweet.
So like I didn't have to do anything there really. And it's like, yes, absolutely. Was able to use a lot of the tool holders from the Matsura because they were both cat. Basically changed the pull studs. So I think I have like twice as many holders or pretty close to twice as many holders as I do positions.
I was shocked that your Matsura was cat.
It's
I've never worked on one that's not BT.
Right. And it's interesting you say that because like most of the ones that come in now are cat.
Right.
Like all the MXs are cat.
Makes sense for the US market, but I think just all of my past bosses have bought BT ones and they were also older ones. So
right. I mean, BT is like, I guess, inherently a little bit more balanced and it's not directional.
Right.
Because the directional shit sucks when you accidentally put it in the wrong way.
Does it just whip it across the enclosure?
No, like, so it won't, like, what will happen is it, like, doesn't seat all the way, and then sometimes you can't get it out without having to, like, fucking pry it out, which is just very annoying.
Fun, yeah.
Yeah, it'll go in.
Just what you want to do on a brand new machine.
Yeah, it's like, fuck. And it's, like, that happened to me, like, once, like, wicked late at night.
Oof.
I was like, oh, come on. And I had to like call somebody over and be like, hey, get over here. Can you like just like pull on this while I pry and like push this button? Yeah.
Fun.
So that's the VF4 for the most part. Yeah. The van is in the shop. Like, so obviously we had the wheel bearing stuff. I think I talked about the wheel bearing stuff.
Yeah, you did. And the guy speaking to you in Spanish on the side of the road and getting all that.
Yeah. That was fucking bananas. But then I was gonna drive her to Boise, and then like the oil pressure was really wonky, you know, and like it was kind of overheating a little bit. This was like right before Thanksgiving, and I was like, I'm just gonna, you know, find a shop, put it in there, and just have them check it out. And they're just crazy. Like two things is like they're crazy slow, like very, very slow. They've been taking their damn time, which is like fine. Because like it's kind of like a serendipitous thing, so to speak, is along with like getting the VF, it's like, all right, if I'm buying this machine, then I should probably not be as transient. Like I should be around it more.
Right.
Though I will say Chuck, who's the shop manager at X2, has been a tremendous help. Like he's been just crushing things for me. And that's been super helpful as I've been like on the road, like, hey, can you knock these out? And he'll like make them. And then like they've met me, like they show up like a day before I show up at a customer. So that's like, that's cool. That's
been the dream.
That's the fucking dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like I can do stuff and I like, we talk about it. Like sometimes I'll program it and then he'll go through it. And like, if he needs to like change it for like tooling that they actually have or change tool numbers or whatever, he'll do that, and then it just happens, and it's incredible. He's like crushing. In addition to he's doing that, and he's doing all the X2 stuff, which is like prototype development, which is sick.
Right.
So very, very rad. But so the van's been in the shop, and like I can't remember. I think it was like very shortly after Thanksgiving where I was like fucking tired, you know. Like the travel, I mean, like kind of like I think we could segue this into Cobras a little bit, but
yeah, and Justin's question as well,
right? And so somewhere like beginning of December, it was like when I really was like hot and heavy buying the VF. It's like, all right, so goal for 2025, just to like stabilize, you know, start to like stabilize and like really stick to traveling less starting in March.
And that was because you had already booked stuff for January and February?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I already like in this, I mean, these 2 months have been like, this month has been pretty chaotic and next month is going to be pretty chaotic. But I think I mean, it might bleed into March a little bit, but I got 2 weeks of travel. So like the goal really is to like do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off of traveling.
And you have a place to stay now
And
too. I mean, not that you didn't have a house, but
it's different.
You're very rarely on that side of the country lately.
Right.
Like you go there for like a day or two, but it's not like a long-term stay.
And truthfully, and like really, I just like, I guess a fairly large life update there is like I basically moved out of my own house.
Right.
Because somebody else got kicked out of their house and needed a place to stay. And it's like, all right, well, Richard, you can move into my room, and then this new guy can move into your room. And so all the rooms are covered. It's like, I'm not there very much. Right. So why, like, I could make a little bit more money on this whole situation. It just kind of works out. And it was like a fairly, like, it was a pragmatic decision. It makes sense. But then also like as I packed up my whole, like most of my room and then started driving away, I was like, oh, this is emotional.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
But it's like, I'm committed to Boise.
I would bet that traveling out of Boise is probably a little easier than out of Boston too. Like I bet you have more connecting flights.
Yes.
But in terms of like dealing with airports, like
big time.
The Boise airport's pretty low key.
That is super accurate. Like I can, like if I have like a 5:15 boarding time, if I get to the airport, like this happened like on Thursday, where it's like, oh, I have a 5:15 boarding time. If I get to the airport, I got to the airport at like 5:15. You know?
Right.
Yeah. And then just like I was basically like first in line through TSA pre-check, just like went through, no issues. Like I was just on the plane.
Yeah.
Like you just walk in, just go. It's sick. Like I legitimately tried to, and like that was running late. I tried to aim for like 15 minutes before boarding to be there.
That's like flying out of Tucson too, where it's like, I need 5 minutes to get through security, maybe 10 if it's a really busy day.
Right. And so it's it's chill. Like, but you're correct. Like a lot of the time, it's because I basically only fly Delta. I go from Boise, like to get here, it was like Boise to Seattle and then Seattle down.
Really?
Or it'll be Boise to Salt Lake and then here, and then Phoenix. And then, and if going east, a lot of the times it's Boise, Salt Lake, Boston, or the wild one is like the direct flight. Like I can go from Boise to LA, Delta, but you go like Boise, LA, Boston. Fucking, that's a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fine. Yeah. It's like, it's good. Like right now, the apartment is like 5 minutes from the shop.
Sweet.
15 minutes from the airport. It's the exact same apartment. Like the first episode that we recorded, 162 or whatever it was in the bedroom that I'm in right now. The exact same fucking place. It's
no
the exact
way.
Same unit. Yeah. Same apartment complex, same exact unit. I saw it was available and I was like, that's the one I want. And I got it. So that was like.
So it feels like home.
It really does feel like home.
That's wonderful.
And like I've set it up more like home. The last one was like very like. But like, no, it's a 2-bedroom place I just use the second bedroom as like an office, which works out.
Yeah.
I don't like having a computer in my bedroom.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. So that's been, but like that has really, like the machine and that has really put the van on the back burner. And then the wildest thing was when they finally like went through it all, they cleaned it all up to see like what was going on. They're like, oh, it's leaking like a sieve. So we recommend you spend $20,000 to like just reseal the whole fucking thing. And I was like, that's absurd. Like that is
no,
literally like 5 times more than I paid for the van.
Right.
So it's like, no. And I mean, like, I just put the top on it. And this, I imagine, like, the last time I talked about the van, Andrew Henry called me. And, like, I answered. And, like, before I said anything, he was just like, sell the van. And it's like, oh. And, like, now where I'm at is I was like, all right, so, like, if I'm resealing stuff, like, can we, like, is it that or nothing?
Right.
Because, like, if it's, then I'll just take it back. But it's like, is there, like, systems? Like, how do we break that down? They're like, oh, you know, cooling system, power steering, blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, oh, we could do the cooling system for, like, $3,000. And I was like, all right, let's do that. Because, like, I mean, I think that the motor itself is strong. It's a similar motor to that's, like, in the Humvee. So it'll, like, run on anything. It'll be fine. It's a fucking tank.
Right.
Kind of literally. But you can't really do anything about it overheating. So I was like, just fix that shit up and then I'll grab it back. But I'm in no rush at this point. We went from the whole point of the van was essentially me just being like, fuck it, I travel way too much. Like, the travel's never going to stop. Like, being, like, totally defeated by the travel. And being like, well, then fuck it, I'll get the van because at least I can be in the same place and have a home that way. But then, yeah, it was just Thanksgiving. Like, Thanksgiving was, like, a very emotional time. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I just need, I should have, like, a home. And now we have that. And I will say, like, truly, like, going back, it is crazy. Like, it feels like a very obvious thing for, like, normies, I guess. Right. Which is like, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, having a home feels good.
Yeah,
who would have guessed?
Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, it is very grounding and, like, centering or whatever to go back to the same place, like, and, like, this is my bed. Right. I can, like, and it's and, like, really, I think what it is more than, like, just having the home is that, like, it's my space. I haven't had, like, my own space in probably, like, 2 years.
Right.
You know, like, I've been, like, staying with people or whatever. And I mean, obviously I'm very thankful for that. It's been like quite, like, I have a very strong support system. So like, I'm not discounting that at all. It's just been, like, really hard to, like, I just didn't even realize that it's like, this was kind of, like, crushing me. And so it's like, oh, right decision. And I guess, like, I don't know, whatever. They'll probably finish the van in, like, 2 months or something like that. They were legit, like, this is on the edge of, like, year-wise what we would work on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they are very clearly, like, not prioritizing it. And I told them, like, basically once I left California without the van, I was like,
oh, so it's in California. I was just about to ask whether it was there in Utah.
It's in California.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, no worries. Take your time. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And they've been taking their time. But I have the Subaru.
I would imagine it's pretty dang cold in Boise right now anyway. So,
right.
Yeah. You know,
yep.
It's not going to do you any good.
No.
So,
nope. So, yeah, I mean, that's, like, the van update. That's the VF4 update. They kind of, like, coincide a little bit. Like, one stomped on the other one. But, you know.
You know, if that's what it took for you to start making a plan to not travel as much, I'm very glad it happened. Yeah. Like, I'm not glad it happened to you, but, like, I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was just, like, it kind of came down to, like, November and December sucked. Like, they were just bad months. Like, we made, like, decent money-ish, but it was just, like, it was crazy. It was just, like, fucking hit after hit after hit. And I mean, you technically, like, and the first two weeks of the month were, like, pretty good. And then they've kind of been, like, really wonky. Like, I just, like, a lot of, like, weird, like, personal, I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but just, like these weird personal professional relationships that have just, like, really made me evaluate working with friends.
Dude, it has been.
It's, fucking bananas. And then, like, the whole, like, ex-girlfriend situation was also very weird.
Right. Yeah.
Like, yeah. where it's like, why are you haunting me?
Right.
Like, and in this way.
Yeah. It was bizarre. Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, actually, I won't. I've been fucking yapping a bunch. Like, what?
It's in the name.
Huh?
It's in the name.
Yeah, it is in the name. Yeah, that's what we should do. Like instead of like a WTZC, we should do WTYC.
YC. Yeah. Patini Consulting. Yeah.
But, yeah. So, what's going on?
Well, I guess it has been a while since we've talked. So we took 2 weeks off for the holidays, which is
Very jealous of
amazing.
Right.
I think the longest break we've had in a long time, like a non-work break. Because like we took almost 2 weeks to go to Germany.
Yeah.
We took 2 weeks to go to Japan 5 or 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But like we just did nothing.
Yeah.
Like I hung out with my wife and did family stuff, and
It was sick.
that was it.
Yeah.
You know, like it was very strange.
Right.
Took a while for me to get used to it.
Yeah, I remember like, how you doing? You're like, doing nothing. It's good.
Yeah, it was just strange. Super cool. Came back feeling very refreshed, and it has been just a kind of whirlwind month.
Yeah.
We've been super busy dealing with a lot of BS stuff that I can't really get into. Yeah, had the first crash on the Hermla, which was incredibly frustrating because it was 100% simulated.
Yeah.
And it was there's a new...
You should make that the cover art.
What?
The fucking
crash?
picture you sent me.
Oof.
Dude, that was... I had, like, real quick, like, when you sent that picture, it was like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Uh-huh.
Because, like, it was just a very bizarre... Like, how it crashes, like, insane, and how the tool was sticking out of the material was bananas.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, it's the whole thing. It was very frustrating because it was 100% simulated. Like that was the first thing I did when I saw it was crashed. Is like I went and simulated again because I was like, did I forget to simulate and like just screwed myself? Yeah. Nope, 100% good. What had happened is that it was a geodesic toolpath, which ModuleWorks already does some wonky stuff in Fusion.
Yeah,
it came over. So the clearance moves in the Hermla have you go along the right side of the machine and over the trunnion pivot point for any rotations, and then comes over with a datum shift, drops down, and then turns on TCP and starts doing the 5-axis stuff. Right. I had already run one of these parts. It was totally fine. I had modified the geodesic to get it to look a little nicer. It rotated C, came down on one side of the wall. The start point was below the top of the part on the other side of the wall.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, in Fusion, if you watch it, it just teleports from one toolpath to the other because it didn't have connection moves turned on to like simulate, which is a new preview feature. In reality, tried to teleport through that wall, snapped off the shank of, it was a 1/4-inch shanked 1/16 ball. And it ran that and the face of a PG collet into the part.
It blew the PG collet
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
And like, it was the wild, you showed me the simulation.
Yeah.
Or like a version of the simulation, not the exact part. But like, it is the wildest thing to see that the bar is totally green.
Yep.
Like that's the most fucked up part is Fusion typically is very good at being like, oh, we look through before you even start playing it. It's going to crash here, here, and here. Totally green bar, no crashes. And then you see it come down and just...
Oh, no. So that was after we started adding connection moves.
Oh, my God.
That is a bug that we don't know what is causing it. So we started adding connection moves, and I don't remember what the options that were turned on when Phil was editing the post. Because Phil's been working through it with me. We've been finding some weird bugs in this new preview feature. So first, I think he just added connection moves, and
go ahead.
Well, I created a dummy part instead of a customer part to send to him so we could troubleshoot this, and I got it to do the exact same crash. Not physically, obviously. And it showed 100% good. Validation said it was 100% good until it visually walked itself through the part and then 10 different collisions popped up in the thing.
The whole thing was colliding.
Yeah.
Because you sent me that too. Like, and it's like, this is absurd. Like, it just, it is out of control. Like, how hard it was violating the model.
Yes.
Like, it was, like, it's like, how?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And so then we tried, because the way that the Hermla post was set up, and it was based on the standard Heidenhain post, is that it datum shifts X, Y, and Z to the start point, applies plane spatial, which is like rotating the planes.
Yeah.
Goes to X0, Y0, Z0, which is now that shifted point. Yeah. So no matter where that point moved with plane spatial, it still goes there. Turns that off and then applies TCP.
Yeah.
So then we turn that off and just use TCP straight from my clearance plane down to the part.
Yeah.
And that was when it was that video that I sent you where it like plunged in what was, it was trying to, it was doing X, Y0, but because it was tilted over at A90, X0, Y0 got it very uncomfortably close to the riser.
That was bananas.
And that one ran because I was like, cool, we got a new post. Connection moves are good. We're not showing any weird simulation errors. I played it through all the way to make sure that error was gone.
Yeah.
And then I nearly pooped my pants because it rapided within inches of the riser and the table and then came up towards me in Z.
Right.
So now we're back to using that datum shift.
Right.
Seems like it's working.
Because that's what we got. We ran it because I have Camplete for a C400.
Yeah.
Close enough. And we got the datum shift out of that too.
Yep.
And when I ran the program, it's like very obviously the post because like we just like ran it through Camplete and it didn't do that.
Right.
You know, it did exactly what you wanted it to do. And it was like, what the fuck is going on here?
And we're not sure why it plunged on that side of the part. It just like, it makes no sense. There's no control over it in the software.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, this has me, I'm still,
shooketh.
It has me very shook. Yeah. Like my confidence is at an all-time low in terms of all of that. And like, it's more frustrating because I did everything right. My tool was correct. My simulation said it was okay. Right. Even if I had watched the simulation all the way through, wouldn't have caught it. There's no way. Because I wouldn't have known that that's where it was coming down because that just was not even simulated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a little shook. Started kind of going down the rabbit hole of looking at other CAD cams again.
Front runner.
NX is looking pretty cool. I would say if anybody out there is thinking about NX, the last time I tried the NX trial, they gave you 30 days on like a VM that just spools up anytime you log on. It was terrible. It didn't work. You'd open NX and try to create a toolpath and it would error out. Didn't like cool. It was garbage.
Yeah.
I think it was just something with their VM that was broken. This time, not only did the VM work, but like they have 3 examples that get harder and harder. Not harder and harder to use, but like more difficult parts. So like the first one is a very easy 3-axis bracket, and they show you how to like make a adaptive or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
They show you how to make a flat toolpath or whatever they call it.
Right.
And then they show you like, oh, we can take that and then pattern it on a tombstone, and then you can create an additional child, and then like it automatically patterns all of that stuff for you.
Yeah.
With one button click.
Right.
And then they're like, oh yeah, you can go back into the original file, change one thing, and it just automatically goes through all the patterns very easily. The next one was a mold. So they have you like link the part to the mold body and then create all the 3D toolpaths for the mold. And then they're like, oh, you just got an ECO and now the part is actually different. And so you go back into like the wave linked bodies and sub in the new ECO, and it automatically populates all the new toolpaths, which is really cool. And like shows you where the differences are as you're linking the new bodies.
Pretty slick.
And then the last one that I haven't fully finished is a nutating head 5-axis mill turn. And they have you do prime turning to rough out all the pockets on the side of this big like jet turbine thing.
Yeah.
And then I think they're going to have you do 5-axis surfacing to do the rest of it.
Right.
So
Cool.
it's fun.
Yeah. And it's roughly 10x the cost of a Fusion license,
Yeah,
more or less.
potentially 20x without any discounts. Like
Fuck.
straight up, it's like 20x the cost of a Fusion license with manufacturing edition.
Whoa.
And then you have to pay for posts as well, which is
Yeah.
not as insurmountable as I thought.
Right. It's basically like 2x what you paid for the Hermela post, right?
Yeah, a little bit over that, like 2.5 times, something like that. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm not beholden to anything. I still want to give Kevin a chance with Hypermill and kind of see what the new version of that is.
Yeah.
Those are really the only two on the table.
I will say from what I saw of 2024, and not like I'm a big Hypermill guy. I've only used it I've used it very sparingly, and I'm more like I'm pretty impressed with it. I think it's very powerful. I think I don't like the CAD side of it at all. That sucks. But it has some of the things that I like. But 2024 is cool.
Okay.
Like it had some much cooler features. Very it seems like they, how to put it, took a lot of features from one of their customers and put it into the software proper.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's certainly not a front runner because HyperCAD just doesn't seem good. I've never heard of anybody being happy with it. I really don't want SolidWorks. Like if I don't have to.
Yeah.
And NX has,
the integrated
class leading CAD tools and surfacing tools. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm not beholden to anything. I still love Fusion and it works incredibly well.
Right.
This just has me kind of shook. And as like we look towards automation and all this stuff, like I really need a solid post that I can rely on. And like it sucks because I've made, hundreds of parts now. And
it'll be just almost a year.
Yeah, it's a year and a couple weeks, I think. Yeah.
And it is so weird to have gone so far and then randomly you're like, wait, what?
Right. Right. Well, I know like logically I should be like, well, the original post is fine. Just keep all your toolpath start points above the top of the part if you're going to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But also like if you were driving a car for a year and all of a sudden it veered off the road and ran into a stop sign, you'd be a little gun shy.
Right.
Like even if it's like, well, I drove 10,000 miles on this and it's fine.
Yeah.
And the 1 mile that I drove that ran me into a stop sign, it should be fine for 10,000 miles. But like, you're still going to look at that car, you know?
It's like, well, I guess I'll just, it.
So I don't know. We'll see. Phil Butterworth's been great going back and forth and trying to help me figure all this out. And
trying to make that post buttery.
Yeah.
Very smooth, baby.
Yeah. There's no one I trust better to work through that with me. So I'm very happy about that. Besides that, otherwise we've been good. We've been cranking.
Nice. Cranking hog. Let's go.
Saw continues to be the second best purchase we made last year.
Oh, shit.
Like,
hell yeah.
I mean, obviously the Hermla first and then the saw, but that's something like it was so funny because I had so many people reach out when I bought it saying like, well, why do you need an auto saw for a prototype shop?
It's like, why don't you eat my ass?
Well, no, but I don't know if you saw the little chip, like the chip bin that it comes with is completely full.
Right.
Like we had that machine up and running in October.
Yeah.
Late October or early November. So like in a couple months, we've completely filled the chip bin with how much sawing we've been doing.
Right. I mean, a good example is the part that you have there. It's a
customer supplied material.
Yeah,
and
they supplied it in a bar.
Yeah.
Not like and you have to cut it. So why waste your time?
Well, and like we could have had them do it, but then I would have had to like been that much sucks. Earlier.
Yeah.
In my I'm not fully developed on this process for this part.
Yeah.
I know enough to start sawing it now, but like I would have had to have all that information a week and a half ago when I was just looking at the parts and would have had to like just guess and hope and pray that I gave them the right measurements right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like we've cut up one of those bars. We have 6 or 8 of them.
Yeah.
And I can take my time now and kind of make sure that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah. We did a job for one of our customers where they're like, oh, we'll provide the material, just do whatever. And they gave us 15,000 like extra.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so you just get to control your own destiny. And like the best part about it is like, are you doing a lot of cuts? No. But do you get to do like those 10 cuts thoughtlessly and go do something else? Yes.
Yep. And that thing continues to hold ±5 on everything.
Right.
If not better.
And I think like this is something, one of the things like I went to Andrew Henry's shop recently and we recorded an episode there.
I know, like, I'm stoked. I think he said that it was going to come out next week on his last episode.
Oh, interesting. I haven't finished that one yet, but like that was a hard one because he's like I think I swore once and then he paused and was like, we're clean. We're a clean podcast.
Oof.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck. So like,
you're like, let me get it all out. Pause real quick.
I don't know if it'll make it the other comment where I was like, we're going and I'm like, it's so hard not to cuss. And he's like, thanks for the effort and it's whatever. But it's the thing about a very interesting thing is like you see like the whole like lean improvement, little improvement here or there. It's like all we have is time. So like at a certain point, just getting that much back that you don't have to go drive somewhere and do it. You don't have to fucking set up the chop saw and fucking try and hack through this thing on the ground. Like it's a little bit of time that goes actually a long way over and over again. And you see like stuff like that where like just real quick on the Andrew Henry thing is their ship station. They ship a shitload of stuff. So like one of the coolest things that I thought was there, because they do like little mailers, like the envelope things that have the little strip, the like staticky strip that you like pull off. And so he has a motion activated vacuum that's
super cool.
They have all the mailers up top. So as you go to grab it, it turns the vacuum on. You pull it down, you rip the strip off and throw it, and it sucks it off of your hand. And it's just like one motion, you know? And it's something like that is fucking brilliant.
I love that.
And like, is it necessary? No.
Right.
Like, not like so many fucking places don't have that, but like it just saves you a little bit of time every fucking time.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, but that adds up.
Yeah. Well, and for me, it's walk away time. Like before. Yes. And if we just bought a manual bandsaw, I'd have to go index it manually, measure it out. This thing holds ±5. You know, like we had a job last week where I would have had to buy, like it was a rush job. They didn't care what kind of stainless, but it had to be some kind of 300 grade. And it was fairly big. It was, well, I mean, for us at least, it was like 3 by 2.5 by 6 inches or something like that.
Pretty decent size.
And so I was, about to buy like $1,100 in 303 from McMaster. And then I looked on the shelf and I was like, oh, I've got a 6 by 6 by 2.5 inch piece.
Yeah.
Just threw it in the saw, measured it once.
Yeah.
Hit go. It has like that, quote unquote AI mode where it like adjusts the feed. Put it in that, walked away and like let it do its thing for 5 minutes or whatever, 6 minutes while I'm programming.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is amazing.
Right.
So I'm so stoked we got that.
Yeah.
It is continued. Like Brad and I, many times a week, look at each other. We're like, look, I'm cutting right now. Like I'm cutting stock right now.
Yeah.
It's like, because we spent hours and hours and hours on that stupid chop saw.
Right.
There was something he had to cut this week where he had to use the chop saw a couple of times.
And he's like,
oh yeah. He walked away. He was like, how do we do that for so long?
Yeah.
Like,
I think that, man, that kind of like slots into the Doug's 5-axis question a little bit in terms of like doing things for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like being boxed out of like not having 5-axis capability.
Right. Yeah. So let's just jump into it then.
Yeah.
Doug from the Patreons. So by the way, we got a ton of questions this week. Obviously, Patreon questions come first, and then I kind of pick and chose a couple from Instagram. Doug's from the Patreon. For a 3 to 5 year horizon, what are the market prospects for a small shop with the following capabilities? So like 3-axis, a 4-axis, a 5-axis, something along the lines of like how long before a shop with only a 2-axis lathe suffers? You know, how will that ever happen? Has it already happened? I think a lot of it is, you know, obviously what sector you're in.
Right.
You know, like there's still shops with manual machines that make money because of exactly what they do.
Yeah.
But I think large in part for like for what we do, especially, and we talked about this beforehand.
Yeah.
I can't believe we didn't get a 5-axis sooner, and I'm so glad we got it when we did.
Right. And now like you are rapidly approaching being like a 5-axis shop.
Right.
Like that the 5-axis outnumbers your 3-axis.
Yeah.
Which will be sick.
Right. Well, and he had also asked similarly, how long before shops with no automations become invalid?
Right.
I honestly, I think like I said, I think there's always going to be a place for a lot of these shops, but they have to also know what their niche is.
Yeah.
Like if you have a 3-axis mill right now and are just trying to do general prototyping, it's going to be tougher and tougher every year.
Right.
To compete at all.
Yeah.
Like, and I think, you know, in 3 to 5 years, 3 years, I think it'll be totally fine still.
Yeah.
5 years, even probably fine, but like a decade?
Right.
I don't think so.
I think it's very, like, if you are a mill shop, like, and your primary thing is milling, and it is prototyping, like, not getting a 5-axis is insane.
Yeah.
Like, that goal needs to be 5-axis. Like, but if you're doing, like, massive plate work, you know, like giant stuff, then obviously like 3-axis is probably fine.
Right.
Like that's just like what you're doing.
Yeah, you're not going to do Datron work on a Hermla.
Right.
Like you could. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't.
Yeah. Like not effectively.
Yeah.
Like you're just like kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Like I bought this really, really intricate machine and I'm doing dumbass shit with it.
Mm-hmm. I think a 4th-axis mill helps a lot.
Right.
Like we did a ton with our trunnion shelf. That helped a ton. Like I know Nick at P3D, that's how they kind of grew their customer base before they got a 5-axis. Because you can, you know, utilize a 0-point system along with a trunnion shelf or something like that.
Yeah.
And kind of do a faux 5-axis.
Right.
So that definitely helps. You're definitely further along than someone who is dead set on keeping 3-axis mills as their only mills.
Yeah. Yeah. I know like a shop in Idaho who does only has like a couple of VFs and he's pretty dead like most of the time because you're just so limited. And like you're either like the thing that kind of seems like what ends up happening is you end up discounting your setup time so much because if you're doing a part, like an intricate part, like some of the shit you're doing, it's like that would be like 7 operations. And like if each one's 2 hours, like you have 15 hours in setup time. It's like it's way less time. Like you're spending more time setting up than you are actually cutting. Yeah. In some cases, and like
and the parts are more accurate.
Yeah.
Mostly, as long as you have like a well-maintained, well-calibrated 5-axis, like things are going to be more in line with each other. Yeah. Because they're all cut at the same time.
Yeah. There was a part that you did, I think, before you got or maybe I think it was like one of the last parts you did in the other shop where you were like standing it up and it was like to put like a side hole in it, last operation, and it was moving. Yep. And like, you're like, no fucking way. And that like, but you're forced to do that. Yep. Because that's all you had. And that problem does not fucking exist with the 5-axis or even a 4-axis. I mean, you know.
But that whole part, I know exactly which part you're talking about.
Yeah.
Not only did that happen, but it had this weird undercut groove all the way around. And this was where I found that Fusion is very angry with trying to surface with a corner radius key seat cutter. Yeah. A full radius, it will calculate fairly quickly. It does. A corner radius, though, it took, I want to say it was 6 hours to generate this tool path because I tried it multiple times, tried different settings, tried to get it to generate something. And then I just ended up turning off sleep on my computer, leaving it on generating, and went to bed that night. And then woke up and it was good. And I locked it down and I was like, cool, I can run this now. But I would have just turned it on its side and surfaced it.
Right.
It wouldn't have been a fight. It would have been 5 minutes to generate the toolpath and I would have been done.
Yeah. And so, like, that being said, like, I feel like 3-axis is a good, like, entryway. Like, you have guys like, I'm trying to think of who are, like, some of the smaller 3-axis guys, like Covenant, you know?
Right. Well, and I think there's always going to be 3-axis work. Like, Juan's got 3-axis mill. Right. He is definitely a 5-axis shop.
Yeah, and he does, like, I mean, his 3-axis shit is, like, massive.
Right.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you see this like giant 3-axis part has like one little side hole. It's like, fuck.
Yeah. But it's stuff like that where there is still going to be niches that a 3-axis mill and a side hole op makes sense because a 5-axis big enough to carry, I mean, even for your VF5 or VF4.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a 5-axis big enough to hold a 40-inch part?
Yeah. It's a MAM 7200H.
Right.
You know,
it's $1 million machine.
Yeah.
Or you could buy $100,000 VF and make the part and then make a drill jig.
Yeah.
Like,
done.
Yeah.
I will say, like, if we're thinking about, like, about it also from, like, a differentiation standpoint in the 3-axis market /4/5, like, this sounds crazy, but if you start large as fuck, like a big, like, bridge mill or something, like the Wele's, the WELE, it's a Taiwanese machine that's sold by JTech. Like, they're fairly affordable for how big they are, and that puts you, like, instantly in a niche.
Right.
You know, where you're just doing, like, big part stuff. Do you have a reputation, and can you get the work? That's a different fucking story.
Right.
But having the capability is, like, half the battle, right? And, like, the way I single that one out specifically because they have, like, one of them has, like, a cool, it'll change the whole head out.
Oh, neat.
So, like, it'll go from a vertical head to a right angle head, and it flips the tool changer so that you can now tool change horizontally.
Oh.
So, like, you don't lose the tool changer when you go to the right angle head.
That's
version.
neat.
It's very cool. And I think that machine's, like, for, like, a machine that can do, like, 80.
A car?
Like a car. Yeah. I mean, like, they're pretty big. I don't think the Z's that big. It's for more, like obviously, like, intricate plate work.
Right.
But it's, like, $600,000 or $700,000. It's a lot, but relative to what it is.
Right.
It's like,
to buy a room-sized machine for
like
$600,000 is pretty good.
like a fucking 31i control on it. It's, like, very powerful, pretty cool. So I don't know. What's a small shop?
Right.
I don't know. Like, there's a lot of nuance in that question, but
yeah, I think that, like, this is a very slow moving trade. I think that 3 and 5 years, not much is going to change.
Yeah.
It is more that the companies that adopt 5-axis, that adopt automation, are going to be the ones that are the front runners.
Yeah. I mean, like I was telling you before we recorded, like, I mean, you saw it immediately. Like, it's a force multiplier.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Devin Bedoni was like, he, went back and forth on getting his, and he's like, oh, fuck. I have yet to see somebody get a 5-axis. I think the Servin brothers are the same. I think their first RoboDrill was just a 3-axis.
Right.
Maybe not. But, like, the second one was a 5, and it's like, then they bought a 5th for the first one, and now their next machine is a RoboDrill with the 5th axis.
Right.
It's like, you can't do as big a stuff, but you can pull it off. You can do whatever. It just, like, kind of works out.
Yeah.
Like, one of the guys I'm going to go train next week, or finish training next week, he has, like, a bunch of clapped out Haas's, and then he bought, like, an MB 650U. First 5-axis, first, like, I think it's all 3 and then this thing. And it's like, oh, man. Like, I was showing him, like, the stuff we could do in Fusion, because he doesn't use Fusion. He uses, like, Part Maker or whatever, or Feature Cam.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry.
And, like, some of these parts, he's like, this is a 6 or 7 part for me. and it's
It
like,
was.
yeah, and it's like, he can attack like how. It's interesting because it's not like, oh, I can just do multiple sides. Like, I mean, obviously you can do multiple sides. It just allows you to attack a part in a much different way than you would, because you don't have to be as, like, when you have to be as like whack as this is to say, when you're doing it in a three axis, you have to be so much more intentional about how you remove material from a part. Because like you can, like, especially if it's a 6 or 7 op part, you could pick the wrong thing for op 4 and fuck op 7.
Right, you're never going to see it.
Yeah.
You like drill a hole too far, and it's only when you take the back off the part that you realize you drilled through or something.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's funny. Phil Mestenhauser, who had that awesome talk at AU, he had told me a long time ago, he said something like 5-axis machines are a liability. And at the time, I misunderstood that as like they're complicated machines, so they're going to break. Mm-hmm. And now I interpret it to mean like they're so good that you end up just wanting to put everything on them.
Right.
So you need more 5-axis spindles.
Yeah. You end up bottlenecking yourself.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
Because everything's a 5-axis part. I mean, it's not. Like we still do a ton of 3-axis parts and stuff that I like. Brad does a ton of tape and glue that like.
Yeah.
Could I put on a pallet for a Hermla?
Like the fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi of tape and glue. So of course.
He did some stuff this week that like I really wish I could share the parts, because they were so like they look very basic, but they were just like so thin. And he like pulls off a strip of 316 with 5 of these parts suspended in clear tape because he has cut the green off the tape.
Yeah.
And then in the center of them is like a little pocket. And you can see where he's drilled through the tape with the pre-drills that he used. And then there's clear tape surrounding the entire rest of the pocket around the drills. I'm like, all right, man, you're just showing off. Like, pulls it off, and he's like, oh, yeah, all of them are within 2/10.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's like Q the Elwoods fucking meme. What? Like it's hard?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like that kind of stuff, like could I put it on a Hermla pallet? Sure.
Yeah.
Should I? Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if it's free.
Right.
And you're scheduling pallets.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's jump back to Gregory's question. He is getting into 5296 0-point systems. He's about to spend a ton of money. What did we not realize before we started using them? What are the limitations?
I think, like, as weird as it is, I mean, like, I think he kind of like one of the biggest limitations is that it is fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Like that's probably like ramping is hard, and if you need more, it's a lot. Like, and that kind of blows.
I'll say that the clocking on 52 and 96 systems is not their strongest suit. You still get very good clocking, but in comparison to something like a shunt system, you don't get as accurate clocking because it's technically over-constrained.
Right.
You know what I found out today? Garrett Wade reached out and was like, did you know that Lang makes different tolerant studs?
Yeah. So, HWR does too. They make undersized studs, so you only need two locating studs and 2 clamping studs.
Yeah. But like, that's the first I've ever heard of it.
Right.
Apparently there's also the tight tolerance ones like that are similar to the ones that are on the gauging pallets.
Oh, interesting.
So they fit tighter in the holes and locate better.
Yeah, so you could probably, like, this is probably like how Shunk, like, to bring up Shunk, like, they have ABC pull studs, which are like, you know, it's like locating, clocking, clamping.
Right.
And you could probably do that.
Yeah.
And so.
But that's great. Like, if you have issues with, and I've had this with like fixtures sticking and being tough to get off.
Right.
You know, replace one of the studs with a undersized stud.
Right.
Call it a day.
That is good. That is bringing that up. Like, the more studs you add
doesn't make it better. And
actually it makes it worse, because like you continue to like compound over constraining, and it makes it like, it just makes it like, that's why it happens like that, because you're like, if you're putting like a tombstone or something on a fucking quad plate, like you don't want all of them to be.
Yeah, you don't need 16 studs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like our Orange Vices have 4 studs.
Right.
They're 22 inches long or whatever.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
We've never had an issue.
Yeah.
So
you'll be okay. Outside of that, like, sometimes, like, I don't know. I guess, like, the Z-Stack can get out of control kind of quickly.
with like adapters and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, I don't know what kind of machine he has, but, like take the Med Center, for instance, which they just recently redesigned, so it has 6 inches extra Z.
Right. It needed more Z and Y, which I think they added both.
Yeah. And so, like, they listened, but, like, the Gen 1, so to speak, like, you very quickly run out of, like, the ability to make a part.
Yeah.
Like, kind of period. Like, with like, 0-point system, that's, like, plus riser plus vice, so I don't run into things. And now the part size is cut in, like, by like 75% of what the work envelope is or something.
When they
crazy.
say Med Center,
yeah,
the first generation one is like, you can make a bone plate.
right. And that's
Don't think about anything bigger.
Yeah. And so I think that can, I don't know. I think there's all for like any limitation there is potentially, like, those are very, like, workable problems. I haven't really found, like, outside of, like, straight up the cost fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like, some of those plates are like $5,000-$6,000.
But speaking of that, Bylang or HWR,
yeah.
you're not going to spend less with Fifth Axis. And
No.
I have yet to hear someone who is happier with Fifth Axis overlaying.
Right.
So,
like, at all.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. Like
Vices, you can do whatever. You can always adapt.
mm-hmm.
That is one thing I would say. Like, we've talked about it on the show before.
Yeah.
The mate Vices sound super cool.
Yep.
You can put those on a Lang plate. You can put those on an HWR plate. You're not beholden to buy Vices from the same company that you buy the plate from.
It is the best thing about whatever happened there, but they all standardized on the thread and locating diameter, which is like, thank God.
Yeah. Like, I've got a Fifth Axis dovetail fixture
Right.
that I threw Lang studs on.
Mm-hmm.
That is the other thing that I did early on that I would not do again is don't mix calibration pallets with...
Right. Because you took...
I did Fifth Axis calibration pallets with Lang studs.
Right.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because you were off by, like, a lot.
I think I was like 1,000 to 1,200 off TIR on our fourth when I actually bought the Lang one.
Damn.
So...
Yeah.
And granted...
That's half your shop tolerance.
Right. Well, but all of them, Fifth Axis Lang, all of them are like, don't take the studs out.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah. What do you know?
Yeah. What do you know, manufacturer of this system?
So just stick with whatever you get. You know, just get the calibration pallet from the company you buy the plate from, your main plate.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think you won't regret it. It's worth it. Like, maybe like really evaluate what you need right now.
Yes, definitely do that. You can, at least for Lang, I can't speak to HWR, but unless you buy $20,000+ from Lang, you're not going to get a discount. So
you can
just buy one.
You can reliably get, I would say, I mean, your mileage may vary,
right, but
I'd say you can reliably get like a 10% discount from HWR.
Okay.
And if it's part of like a new machine purchase, it's like 20-25%.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's not bad. And they're pretty good with, and they're pretty fast with like customs, because Thomas he has a shop in like Michigan or something that, like, if you need a custom plate drilled a certain way, it's not like happening in Germany. They'll just do it stateside.
Yeah. Lang does them all here too.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
Let's see. Damien says, what's for breakfast?
Right.
Of course.
It's been a lot of trying to be like a good boy. And so, put the powdered donuts down and just like either like, and really it's just like protein shakes, just starting with like protein, coffee, Red Bull. Sometimes if I'm feeling saucy and Uncrustable.
Oh,
shout out to Kenny. a Patriot Machinist. He's an Uncrustable guy too. I started like buying Uncrustable like at a Town Cutler. I just like put a box in the freezer there. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hey, I mean, they're a good snack.
Oh yeah. His real question was a bit of a chat about how you set up and manage tool libraries would be great.
This is a tough one.
It's so tough.
Like, I would say, when we've talked about this before a bunch, I think, but like number one, having anything at all is better than nothing.
Yes.
Like straight up. So that's like first, like if you're down to have a tool library period, like you're already better than like half the shops like in the world or something like that. It's kind of insane. And how you set it up, like, I mean, plenty of room for improvement. Like, I am either like buy machine, buy material kind of stuff, you know. I don't like, and like I like to have a standard library of what is in the machine, and then like a library of what's set up, and then a library of what's special.
Yeah.
Tool number wise, I think we differ here in that I'm very comfortable with going above, like using tool numbers that my machine doesn't have. If it's already like to have things set up and have the offsets in it. I don't think you like to do that.
No,
but
not really.
Yeah. But that's just like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, like it's just, I just want to have like 100. Like I was talking to you about this. Like I think when I set it up, I'm going to have like 150 through 200 be like just drills and taps and stuff, and just leave those set up always. And if I need to, just like taking 20 out and putting 100 in,
right,
and then it's just set up and ready to go.
So I do that in the Hermla because I call them all by name anyway.
Right.
So like my tool library is set up by like, well, and actually I'm going back through right now and going to redo it.
Yeah.
But like every 100 is dedicated to a type of tool.
Yeah.
So like 1 through 100 is going to be end mills. Like 101 through 200 is going to be, you know, ball mills or whatever. Yeah. But when I put them in, I call them by name. I never see that tool number or the pocket number ever again.
Right.
Like, unless I like look for it.
I really like that about Heidenhain.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
And that's something, so that the naming scheme that I came up with, I think we're going to refine a little bit this year and add it to all the brother tools as well.
Yeah.
So that Brad gets used to looking at the same terminology that I'm looking at every day.
Right.
And that as we add more Heidenhain machines, it's just second nature. And I think we talked about it at lunch last week. I can't remember. I think we decided that that's what we were going to do. We were going to like append BT30 on the end for all brother ones.
Oh, sure.
Because those are all called by tool number anyway.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't matter if we make it longer, whereas Heidenhain I think has like a
character limit,
30 or a 36 character limit or something like that.
You're like sweating on what, like how stuffed can I be?
Right. So it's a little tough. I think I'm pretty okay with what I have so far, but we're gonna kind of sit down together and refine it to where it gives both of us the information we need. Yeah,
I guess on that point, and just in terms of like managing tool libraries, just like with anything in this industry, it's not a one and done. You don't have to do it like, it's not like a buy once, cry once thing. Like you should kind of regularly, and it's easier said than done, obviously, because you get busy, but like you're talking about it right now, which is like, all right, Brad's doing what, XYZ, just getting into the habit of like auditing your system internally and being like, does this actually like, is this doing what I think it's doing for me? Like, like with Fusion specifically, I could say, like, are my speeds and feeds accurate? Am I like changing these all the time? And like, why am I changing these? Do I need to like update the library or whatever? Like, I don't like using these tool numbers. And sometimes that can be like harrowing.
Oh, it could be a lot of work, but it's worth it. Worth noting too, if you're using Fusion, that you can copy information out of a tool library and paste it into a spreadsheet and edit it that way, and then paste it back into Fusion.
Right.
And then also Toolpath has that pre-tool thing.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Like pre-tool is sick.
Yeah. If you don't know where to start for presets for tools,
Yeah.
that's just a no-brainer.
Right. I would say like something to be the only thing that I saw that was like a little wonky just from personal experience is because it's very normal, like, and this is to be expected, but the surface footage for face mills is way slow.
Oh, really?
Well, it's just like, I mean, if you're cutting aluminum with a face mill, like a 2-inch face mill, you're not spinning that at like 700 surface foot. You're at like 5,000 surface foot.
Right. Yeah.
And like, that's not normal. So like, just like Justin and I were talking about that, I was like, oh, like everything else, sick.
Yeah.
But that is just one thing, like, so like, just like everything, it gets you 90% of the 90% of the way there. But like, it's a good tool. Look at it.
Yeah.
Make sure it makes sense. If you're spinning your face mill at like 700 RPM in aluminum,
I mean, it'll cut.
it'll cut.
It's just slow.
Yeah. But it's
like you could be ripping.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah, fucking, how much RPM you got, baby?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The 2-inch shell mill that I have in the Haas is like, yeah, this thing can go to like 18 grand.
Uh-huh. Oh, I mean, those FCRs that we have, or the one FCR we have for the Speedios.
Yeah.
It's like, what's your max RPM?
Yeah.
Just run it at that.
Fucking rip, brother.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Bury that thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. It depends again, like what your machine layout is and what your goals are and like your materials and whatever. But like,
that was one thing though that like surprised me jumping into Heidenhain and Hermla.
Yeah.
It's like, I expected there to be some like best practices or guidance. Mm-hmm. Everybody was like, I don't know, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I don't know what I want yet.
Right. I mean, like the person I talked to, like the guy who is like the tool library guy is a guy named Luke's. He works at Hadrian. He's like the best ME manufacturing engineer in like the country. And he built like probably what I would consider like the best tool library in the world. It's so sick. Like it's insane.
Right.
He knows, like, he's just super dialed in.
Yeah.
But he goes deep.
Right.
Deep.
But he had to come up with that. Like, it's still just very weird to me that like there's just not, like with many other things in manufacturing, there's just like an accepted, like, hey, this is the default. Right. But, like, people change it, but like it's not.
Yeah.
It's just, it seems like such a weird blind spot to the industry where everybody's just like, I don't know, I made it up on the go and like it works for me.
Like when I name tools, like when I name the tool in Fusion, I'll go diameter, X, whatever the inches is, LOC for length of cut, X if it has it, if it's shanked, I'll go X,
LBS or whatever.
LBS, yeah, for length below shank, and like that is pretty concise. Gets you all the information. Like this many flutes, 0.0 whatever CR if it has that. Yeah, done. And that's like, I don't know, that gets you there.
Yeah, it's just strange. So I mean I feel like we left you with more questions than answers, Damien. Yeah. So sorry.
Like I mean the thing is like it sucks, but it's like people ingest information like anymore, especially doing the job that I do. Like people see with different eyes, and like so something like where you're like, well, this is how this is. And like you show them, like you're looking at the same thing and they're like, I don't understand. It's like, I can't break it down any further than what it is.
Right.
So like what it does this thing, how do you want to convey that it does this thing?
Right.
And you're like, it's just, I don't know, just language.
So I guess if you're doing it by yourself, if it's just you in your shop, what do you need to see?
Yeah.
And then if there's other people, go and ask and like, write it all on a whiteboard and then have a little chat about it.
Right.
As far as managing an infusion, though, turn on cloud libraries. I'll remind people as often as I possibly can and back them up. People have been known to lose them.
Yeah.
Shit happens when it's in the cloud. It's very rare and few and far between, but like just back them up, I don't know, every 6 months. Throw a reminder.
And make sure, I guess, like while you're there that's a good point. In terms of turning on cloud libraries, if you work with external teams, like I often do, make sure that the people that need the information also have access to. It's not enough to have access to just the team. They need to have access to the asset folder.
Yeah.
And like that is a pain in the ass sometimes to add people to.
Their new, what was supposed to be easier with those granular permissions has been made so much harder. Like I regret
upgrading,
going back to the new permissions because it's just a nightmare.
Yeah, it's like, oh, upgrade. Oh, sick. Yeah, and then I'll be like, all right, Chuck, you have access, and he's like, no, I don't.
Yeah,
and then I just have to go do, and then I go and I look, and it didn't happen, and it's like, cool.
Yeah. Well, like I turned them on before Ethan came to intern because I was like, oh, we're having somebody new in the shop. I should figure this out. He technically doesn't need access to everything. Like he doesn't need access to my personal folder that's just like all of my designs. So I'll like figure out how to do this.
Right.
And then I just like ended up spending the first 2 days he was here trying to figure out how to give him permissions to the stuff he actually needed. I'm like, cool. All right. I messed up.
Right.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. It's a big one is that fucking asset library.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and it'll be like, oh, go here and do this. And like, you're the admin and it's fucking grayed out for you to invite people. And it's like, and then you go and you look, it's like, well, make sure you're the administrator. It's like, it's my fucking.
I'm the super admin. I'm the admin.
Yeah. There's nobody.
I created it. Like, what are you talking about?
And then there's like some other place you got to go. I don't know. It's silly.
All right. Justin was asking you, we're a month in. How's the new year, new plan going? What are you doing to hold yourself accountable?
Well,
can Justin and I fly out second week in March and kidnap you and tie you to your bed in Boise? Or
okay. No. Whoa, what's going on here? So the new year is, I said it earlier, it's a bit intense.
It's been a wonky January.
Real wonky January. Like, I mean, my mom's birthday was yesterday, so that's like, whatever.
Right.
But hey, we got some cake.
And you spent it with family.
I did. I spent it with family.
Which I'm very glad.
I made a cake. And...
Oh, you made the cake?
I made that cake.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I'm even more excited to try it now.
Yeah, dude, chocolate espresso frosting.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's fucking dank.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
Some of my best work. And so, yeah, the new year, it's okay. Like, I mean, I have definitely made some choices, you know, but I've been also trying to, like, continuing the theme of, like, boundaries and stuff. It's like, I swear I haven't had this much anxiety over situations. Like, I don't want to, like, I'm just not going to call people out, but, like, just over, like, these like personal fucking relationships that have bled into like causing me like gnarly professional issues. That's like very fucking frustrating and has caused, and like truly like I guess I can't really get into like the whole aspect of it, but it's like I tried to help somebody and it like
backfired hard.
Needed help and it just fucked me so hard.
Yeah.
And like, so not only did I lose a fuckload of money, but I've also now given myself way more work. Luckily, from what I can tell, it's not actually that hard as they made it out to seem, which is good and really fucking annoying because like being weeks late and having to like take a massive haircut is like, I was expecting it to actually be difficult, not like this was like no time at all.
Right. Well, so, it was told to you like, there's no way I can do this.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I've never even used this software really, and like I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, exactly. It was like very annoying. And so I would say it's not starting off the best, but it also could be worse.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, getting like truly like the steps towards like stability and actually being able to like the plan being 50% travel max starting in March.
Mm-hmm.
We're on that path by getting the apartment, getting the machine.
Good.
And then probably moving to like a more stable shop environment. That's probably in March as well. So March might be like that will also probably force the not traveling.
Right. Yeah.
So
you'll have to be project manager there. So that's good.
So that's good. Holding myself accountable is like, I am, I don't think I'm doing a great job of that.
Have you thought about like finding a calendar app or something, like kind of like Calendly, but not Calendly, but like where you can basically have your customers sign up for 2 weeks a month, and then when it's signed up, they just like, I'm booked. Sorry.
I have been trying to use the Google Calendar more because you can set location of where you're at during like certain days to do that, and like so that's good. And like right now, like it's my sole focus. Like right now, I'm traveling a fucking lot. Like, and kind of that's where I'm at. Is how do I grow? Like I'm doing the opposite of the plan to get to the plan. You know, which is just like grinding crazy hard to be like, well, I have to knock all this shit out. Like I had these 2 days, like kind of open up, and my customer was like, "Hey, we need to get this done." And I was like, "Okay, I'll just come go do it." And they're like, "Oh, sick!"
Right?
Because it's just like easier to show up and get it done. Because these are guys that don't know what they're doing, rather than try and troubleshoot shit over the phone. And so just like, and then I'm gonna fly back to Boise tomorrow. I'm gonna make some fixtures on Sunday. I'm gonna drive to Washington. I'm gonna install the fixtures, cut some parts, hopefully wrap up that project completely, and then drive back to Boise and fly to Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah. And then and then jump into New Jersey and whatever. So I currently not holding myself accountable. I don't need to hold myself accountable until I'm in the plan. Yeah. So
we all have permission to shame Zap in March.
Yes, please shame me. But I am like definitely like the closest thing I have right now is just trying to like touch base in Boise as much as possible. So like just doing the trip and then making sure I go back to Boise and then leaving from Boise.
Good.
So like,
it's not 7 new states in 7 days kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which I mean, I've done that, but like, you shouldn't do that. So just trying to do the thing and then go home.
Good.
And I still work at home, but just like,
but you're home.
But I'm home.
Yeah.
And so that's
such a big change.
Yeah.
Like even if you're working all days of the week,
right?
If you're home for a couple of them, I'm stoked for you.
Right. It is like having like quote unquote home office and like an actual shop office where the setups are fairly similar is nice. And like being able to like, you know, go to the machines and whatever, it's like, it makes me like the environment that I've been creating for myself in Boise and like actually like shifting my brain, like moving out of my house in Massachusetts and everything. It's like, I want to be in Boise. I want to be at the shop. I like it there. It's good.
Good.
So like, that is, I guess that's me holding myself accountable. It's just like making like, all right, we're not fucking around anymore. We're going to do this thing. And the travel's still there and everything's still going to be there. But like, we just have to lock in X, you know?
Right.
So that's where that's at.
Yeah. Like, could you, based on this last year, do a quarter less business and a quarter less travel and still be good for the year?
Honestly, because
you did well last year.
I did do well. I think I could do a quarter less travel and the same amount of business.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Like really, I think it kind of comes down to just like very poor scheduling, especially like, and if I can get the, like if/when it is going to actually, I mean, like realistically, it seems like it's heading in this direction anyway, is being able to do turnkeys on my own machine in Boise. Like that will be incredible.
Yeah.
Cause then like it limits the travel a ton. Mm-hmm. Like, especially if people like Chuck or whoever are helping me out and can like handle some of the machine side of things, then like I can, if he's on the machine and I'm on like doing some programming or whatever, that like creates like a very interesting dynamic of being able to like really actually tag team something to a point of like, all right, we have the process proved out, and now we just need to pack it up, ship it, and then do it again on the customer's floor. The ideal goal in that situation would be like no more than a week of travel per project.
Right.
And that's like actually doable in that sense without having to kill yourself, because the process is developed. Like doing process development on the customer floor is something that we've done and we do, and we're pretty good at it. But there, you will inevitably run into an issue, right? Like the issue that we have is like right now with the thing in Washington is we cut way too big of a slot for the robot to like get its gripper into, and robbed a lot of vacuum area, and the part was so small we just couldn't achieve the vacuum.
Oh, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that the slot was because of the robot.
Right. And so like we were able to like, because of the size of the part and like the width, we can't really do much with the width because like the gripper is the gripper. But like we gave it a lot of room, and we only need to give it like 100 thou, and then we could shrink it up like half an inch like into the part.
Right.
And so we like basically increased the volume or the surface area, the vacuum surface area by like 25%, like that.
Oh, awesome.
And so that should be like, and it's like, you know, theoretically it should work. And like now it's like, okay, we have the machine. I have we don't have the exact vacuum pump because the vacuum pump's like $9,000, but I'll have a like the Pearson Smart Vac. So it's like, make a small test one, test it. I got him like the last time I was there, I got parts so I can test and like actually cut. And then, okay, then that works. Cool. Now we make the big fixture and then test that just to make sure. And then take it up there with like pretty much 100% confidence that it's going to work, instead of doing that all on the customer's floor and then it not working and being like, fuck.
Well, and the big thing is during all that testing, you're sleeping in your own bed. You're going home at a normal time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I will say though, living 5 minutes from the shop, it is very dangerous. Cause like the other day, like before I flew here, I was up till like 2 a.m. and then I woke up at like 4 a.m.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I slept hard on the plane.
Good.
I'll tell you what.
Good.
And then, went straight to work. But so like still grinding it out, still doing that. It's all in service of like aspect of it. It feels good.
For sure. All right. Wonderful question from last week's guest, NS Precision. What are your guys' top 2 goalposts for your businesses this year? And since success isn't always about business, what are your personal growth goals for 2025?
I think I basically have said mine.
Yeah.
Which are, travel less, travel less and just create more stability and predictability in the business. Like that's been the goal for like
a long time.
But I feel like it's just one of those things where you like, I got it. And then you like look back and it's like, I've never really had it. And I feel, so I've been trying to say like less of I got it and I'm on the right path.
Nice.
I
like that.
So I think I am on the right path, and this path is more expensive. Like it is costing me money, more money than I would like to spend, but it like truly, it's like what it's gaining. Like so far, at least like in the short amount of time that I've been doing it, what it has gained me in terms of like mental clarity and just having that being grounded, it's like, it's worth it. And that makes it feel like, this is correct.
Right.
Like it is like, yeah, the machine payment didn't have that before. The apartment didn't have that before. About to have a shop payment.
Right.
Oh, I had that like not too long ago.
Right.
But all of those things combined are a little bit more overhead than I did have. But like we do like realistically like more than that, like quite a bit more than that per month. So it's like, is it really going to be that bad? Like,
and just, dude, the years back on your life,
Years. Yeah.
Like I was getting worried about you last year.
Yeah.
So like I am just so overjoyed.
It was getting pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like last year was pretty bad.
Like you've had a rough month, but even through all that, like I've noticed that you've kept a much more level head and just seem happier.
I am like a fucking surgeon right now with just like, this is bad. You're fucking gone.
Right.
Like I'm just done with this. I'm done with that. I'm not doing this. Like I'm like very focused, like in this, I would say thanks to like all the therapy that I'm doing and everything is just like causing a lot of clarity and like I have a goal, personally, professionally, whatever. And like all these things that are like, I think about what Brian Kippen said, which is like, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no. And I think about that a lot when it's like this person being fucking weird. And it's like, no, done. And like, today I was like fucking screaming at somebody, like not screaming, but like I was lighting somebody up because it's like, he said some fucked up shit and it's like, no. Yeah. I was like debating having this conversation and now it's like very fucking easy to have this conversation. And I will tell you that you're a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. Well, I told you like I was feeling very similarly about some other things of like, oh, this relationship like is clearly one-sided and I'm just done with it.
Yeah.
I'm not putting any more effort into it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, whatever, dude.
Yep.
And so,
so what are the goalposts then?
Right.
Like what, like let's say 6 months in, we're hitting June, July. What are you hoping to have done?
Like, I mean, the obvious thing is like we are traveling 2 weeks out of a month or less.
Okay.
And still maintaining the same level of business as last year, if not more, because now we're able to utilize the machine. Like, because it's just interesting. Like I had the thought of this with the Matsura, but the Matsura is too old.
Right.
In my opinion, to be able to like effectively do this type of work because it like the cutting just wouldn't transfer.
Right. Well,
like,
you're doing so much Haas work too that like it's very tough to quantify stuff between an old machine and a brand new Haas.
A 2001 Matsura with the fucking Yasnak control on 15,000 RPM and like absolutely rips and like holds tense like all fucking day versus a brand new Haas. Like, no, it's just like, it'd be very hypocritical of me to do that because like I have said a lot in the past, just based on bad experiences of testing and doing testing without it being as close to like what is actually going to happen as possible is a waste of time. And that would be probably what would happen because like pull studs are different, drawbars different, like the machine construction is different. It's a fucking pallet changer machine. Like it's way heavier than the Haas. So like you could get these like sick cuts. Like, I mean, the fucking table was like a weird like 2.5 inch grid with like 5/8 11. Like, what the fuck is that? You know, like you're like holding, like literally holding the vices with more clamping force because of like what you can apply to a fucking 5/8 11 bolt than what you would with a T-slotted table kind of thing. It's nuts. But like all of those things are variables that like this just wouldn't transfer.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes more sense now. You have what your customers have.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say those are the two goalposts is like, you know, travel less and utilizing the machine to like in a way that aids in less travel, you know, and then personal growth is just like the stability, just like continuing down the road of stability.
For sure.
And that's like that kind of like coincides with less travel.
That's awesome. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
So they're also kind of linked. I mean, one of our goalposts is we need a second 5-axis spindle in the shop. So we're looking at another Hermla potentially. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Getting quotes for that has been a case of like runaway budget or just like very big changes?
It is bananas that like the base C250 is like $300,000, whatever, 330.
Yeah.
Then you add the tools and you add the HS Flex, and it's like 800 grand or whatever.
It's not that bad, but it is like, you know, almost double or maybe a little over double.
It just like, it just goes from like, oh, well, how much more could it be? And you're right. It's like 657. You're like, what the fuck?
So we'll see. But like we're going through plotting different, you know, or we're gaming out different scenarios. Like, do we get just a base one? Do we get one that's auto prep? Do we get one with auto prep and the additional tool mag? Do we just, you know, save up and really go for the flex?
Based on what you've told me, it kind of feels like best bang for the buck, as crazy as it is just go big or go home.
Yeah.
Just do it all. Cause the field install of the HS Flex is absurdly expensive.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. In comparison to just buying the package.
Yeah. It sounds like it's almost as much as another spindle.
It could be. Yeah.
And that's like,
yeah.
Why? You know?
Yeah. So we'll see. We're gaming out a lot of different scenarios. Second one is like documentation.
Right.
And making it so Brad and I can do anything in the business equally well. And if not, there's a place to go for that. Right. Like a big part of that was we jumped on the beta bandwagon of Infab from Juan and Blake. That's been fantastic. That was actually because of the NS Precision guys, because they're on it as well.
Cool.
And I was like, damn, you're right. I got to do this. Like, I've been resisting an ERP for so long, and really it's just gotten to the point where like we need a place of single truth. Like there's issues with paperless where, like, for example, you can't edit an order after it's placed. Yeah. Like I can't change the due date or something.
Right. And I'm just going to say real quick, like, Justin, if you're listening, just fucking do the damn thing already and build a real quoting system.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, we jumped on Infab. That's been great for I think a month now, or a little bit under that.
It looks cool.
It looks great. I have yet to work with such, well, that's not true. Pete has been fantastic as a developer. Justin's been great to work with. Yeah. Now the Infab guys are just like top tier in terms of responsiveness. Like I submit a ticket and like very often they're like, oh, cool, it'll be pushed out in the next update. Yeah. Like, cool. Whoa. That's amazing. Yeah. Like, wait, you're actually taking my opinion to heart? And oh, that's cool.
Not the, oh God, the fucking worst response ever. We can't, not an issue for us. So go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Okay. I've gotten that one a few times of like, oh, well, you're the only one asking for this.
I was like my customer very recently. I'm having a problem. No, you're not. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, well, all right.
Yeah, sick.
And that all of this kind of ties in with personal growth goals. My wife and I are having a child this year.
Fine.
Yeah, she's due in April. And so like a lot of this is spurred on by like, hey, I'm not going to be here for a couple of weeks. I'm also just going to have even more on my plate. We need to like be able to grow this company sustainably. And I think a large part of that is like getting our ducks in a row post-wise, getting our ducks in a row automation-wise, documentation-wise, all of that. So it's been a very good kick in the pants, I think, on a lot of these things. And we're both very excited and very terrified. And yeah, it is what it is. You know, like we're just gonna make it through it. And I think we're more terrified of like the newborn phase of just like, oh, no sleep for a long time. And like for me, I'm like, man, I've been training for this my whole life, and like
I don't sleep anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm a pro at this. So yeah, that's the big personal growth for this year. I think is just
congrats. This is sick.
Thanks.
This is brand new news for me.
Yeah, you've never heard this.
Never heard it. Live on mic.
Oh, we missed Justin's other question too. So he bought tap handles or tap collets
or
sockets.
I mean,
I've never used tap sockets, and I don't know that I ever would trust them.
I have. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, but you don't really have quite the. I feel like tap sockets are much better when you're chasing because you get the ratcheting action, which is sick. But like tap handles, I mean, obviously you just have much better feel.
You know what I hate? So like, have you ever used the ratcheting tap handles?
Yeah.
General makes them. They're like a terrible brand.
Yeah.
But why doesn't Starrett and like all the other companies make nice ratcheting tap handles?
Like, is it like it? I feel like it would just rob your feel.
No, they work great.
Yeah.
They like engage very nicely. I've almost bought a few of them because I've used them in the past and been like, this is pretty nice. Like it's a terrible brand, but like a pretty nice product.
Some of General, like it's so weird, like that Harbor Freight shit where like 90% of it is like one-time use dog shit, and then like the other 10% is like this is like a generational tool.
Right. Yeah. I'm a big tap handle guy. Like if I'm tapping something, things are already not going well. So
yeah. You don't put in like a fucking drill and just
no. I don't have the balls for that, dude. I watch people do that in like fixtures and stuff. I'm like, I've got too much time wrapped up into anything I'm making at this point. Like the only time I would do it if it was something for me.
Right.
And I was just like, I really don't care.
I've only done it through sheet metal.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. But like anything other than that, like in a fixture.
I've seen people like they throw on the clutch to low and then just send it into fixtures and stuff. I'm like,
wow.
But all the power to you, but like, nah.
Yeah, it's like, get good and just fucking tap in the machine, you pussy.
Yeah.
As I say, like not willing to fucking put a drill on the fixture. Fucking crazy.
Oh, boy. Oh, this one was for you about travel. I thought this was a great one from Joe at Cobra. So he says, with how much travel is required for your work, what are some of the best and worst parts in your opinion? Do you make time to capitalize it, or are you too busy working? Regional food, sightseeing, etc. Do you go nuts if you're in the same place for more than a few weeks? And do you have the capacity for homesickness?
Let's see how to attack. I mean, the best part is I really enjoy, like this. Right. You know, is like if I'm in Arizona, if like it's like, let's record. And we were going to do it 2 weekends ago or something.
Yeah, but you were so sick.
Yeah, so
I was just getting sick that night.
Yeah, so we didn't do it. And it's just like being able to like from a work perspective, I get bored fairly easily. So like do I get if I am stuck in the same place for a couple of weeks, I do go fucking especially if it's not my fault that I'm stuck there, like then I'm really pissed, and I'm over it and I don't want to be there anymore. And that will happen. So I try and like, if I can, break it up as much as possible, but that can get like a little wonky, like the worst part of it is like times like now where I'm couple days. And it's just like the churn of it all, and like travel days can sometimes be like, oh, do I travel at night or do I travel at like in the morning or what's the best time to do this? And like, okay, like if I travel at night, then I gotta like it's an extra night in a hotel. If I travel in the morning, then I like waste a lot of the day or whatever. And it's like, is that worth it? And like there are times where like day one just sucks no matter what. Like I just almost get nothing done day one, especially if I've been like churning it over. It's just like a thing where it's like, oh, this day's not going to go well.
Right.
Like I'm going to do as little as possible because I'm just like not feeling.
Yeah. You're like, I'll set tools and like find my work coordinates.
Right. It's like very mindless work, like prep work, like, oh, like let's see what we're going to do here. Like, look over programs, but it's like, if I'm like really tired, it's like, I'm not crashing this machine today.
Right.
I'll crash it tomorrow. So that's like the worst part of it. I would say I do capitalize on it.
Get some sites. I mean, you always get regional food here. You get burritos.
Yeah.
But besides that, like, it sounded like you got some in England. Well, I guess England wasn't really even a business trip.
Yeah. That was just for fun.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, like, yeah, did I eat regional food? And I ate some shitty Korean barbecue Korean barbecue in England, and then I had some not Korean barbecue, Korean fried chicken.
Right.
And then both of them really good Indian food. And actually there's some like really good vegan pizza
Okay.
or something, vegetarian. I don't know. That was pretty cool.
Like, what about sightseeing? Like when you go to Pennsylvania or New Jersey or, like any of these places?
Quite happen as much.
Okay.
I focus more on like people, So like, I'm not like technically I could like, drive up to Sedona or whatever and like go see that. But like, whatever. I've been there.
Right.
Or like go see something. I'd rather like go like, I mean, obviously down here, hang out with you because we get fucking fired up and eat burritos and then like do this. But like I have like some friends and like, I mean, I have friends fucking everywhere. So like, hey, I'm in town. Like, let's go fucking, get dinner, go to somebody's shop, whatever. I think that's what I really go for. And like, I mean, obviously, I have no problem driving like 2 or 3 hours out of the way to do it. What time is it?
Almost midnight.
Almost midnight.
Yeah.
And so like this, but it's like, so I make time for it. Like I will make time for it and I'll like suffer for it, so to speak. But like, it's worth it because like in terms of like making personal time, like I could be asleep, but like then if I was at home, I'd probably just be working anyway. So,
Yeah.
It's, I think I capitalized. And regional food, yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
I'm going to go. And what the fuck was the last part?
Do you have the capacity for homesick?
Kinda.
Okay.
I don't know. Like,
I mean, have you had a solid home in a few years?
No. So I don't think really like this is actually like a big problem I have with like just like relationships. Like I've noticed recently is like because I'm so in and out of like everywhere and people's lives, I just assume like my default mode is like I don't really miss people that much, Like no offense. But like
we chat.
Right, we chat all the time and it's like I'm gonna be back.
Yeah.
Like and I'm just traveling around. But like because I am all over the place. Like, and it's like, well, I don't expect to see you. So like, why would you expect to see me? But like with like girlfriend or whatever, it's like, oh my God, I miss you so much and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, it's like, I'm coming back.
Right.
Like, relax.
Well, I feel like, and I don't know if this is that way with your other friends, but like for me and you, I always feel like we have one of those friendships where like no matter how long it's been, we just pick up where we left off.
Yeah.
And so it just doesn't matter.
Right.
And I know that like I have that with some people. Yeah. And so like it's just like, I don't care. Like we chat a bunch anyway. And then like when I see you next, it's like, oh, yeah, I feel like I saw you yesterday. It's fine.
Right. You know? So yeah, I'd say like because of just like the transient nature, like, home is where the heart is, baby.
Yeah. Machinist nomad over here.
Yeah. It's like, no, I don't think so. Like maybe like now that I'm like building the stability, like attempting to build stability in my life, like, and I create like, if I can successfully create like a solid home out of Boise, that like traveling will be harder. But as of right now, like I was offered like, we talked about this, like I was offered like a pretty sick job, like, and like it was good. But
it was tempting.
It was very tempting.
We had lots of conversations about it.
And it's like it was basically like the job description was written for me specifically. And does it solve like my quote unquote travel problem? And that's like a thing. People think I have a problem. I don't. I like it.
Right.
And like the problem therein lies like even as sick as it is, going from 90% travel to 0% travel. I'd be fucking done.
Right.
That would kill me.
Yeah.
I would be like, I'm fucking over this. This sucks. I have to go to the same place every fucking day.
Right. See the same people.
Yeah. Ugh. God. Gross. I don't know. I like having like making friends and like with my customers and whatever else. Like one of the guys I'm gonna go see, the guy who bought the MB650U, he's like, he has to remote into one of his computers for some reason.
Okay.
And the background on that computer is Limp Bizkit. And I was like, it's so funny. And I was like, I don't know if you've seen that. I don't know if I've sent you, but like John Goblikon podcast, the guy that there's like a metal band where the lead singer dresses, I think it's a metal band, but like he dresses like a goblin. He's always dressed like a goblin.
I know who you're talking about.
And so there's the podcast, and there's like this meme where he's like, I can do a Fred Durst impression, you know? And he's like, ask me if I want fries with that. And he's like, okay, go. And he's like, you want fries with that? And he's like, yeah. and I sent him that at like 2 a.m. And he's like, I really enjoy that you sent me that at 2 a.m. And then he sent me one back. And like that's fun. I don't get to, like, if I was working with the same assholes every day, then I wouldn't get to have that experience. So that's where, like, I don't know, this is a very long-winded way of saying, like, I don't know if I'll ever get homesick, but we're having a good time.
Good. Oh, I totally skipped Ryan's from the Patreon as well.
Oh,
you mentioned hiring someone this year for packing and shipping. Do you have a process recorded for onboarding? No.
LOL.
Yeah, not yet. Like I feel like we're still kind of figuring that stuff out. Like we've been adding a ton of stuff to that and really refining our process for that. Like we added the bubble wrap machine. To your next question, which was like, how do we use 3D printing for packing and shipping parts? We've been printing a lot of clamshell boxes to fit all of our small parts. Our customers love it. It is way more protective than like bagging and tagging 10 parts.
Right.
And then having all of them in bubble wrap. Like it just looks nicer, works very well. What do I anticipate the challenge for new employees to adapt to? I think it's going to be tough because like you would think shipping and or packing and shipping is like a fairly low stakes thing.
Right.
And like it's going to be tough to relay to them that like, hey, we've got thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars into these parts, and you're the final one to touch them and make sure that they make them the extra mile. So like,
yeah,
you know, they are the bottleneck in terms of like making sure parts get to the customer.
Yeah.
So like it's not going to be an easy job.
Right.
Like it'll be easy because we know what boxes we use, we know how to pack stuff so that it doesn't get damaged, but it won't be like low stress. Like they need to understand that like they need to do things perfectly.
Don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the big sign on the wall.
Yes, don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
And then his last one for us is a calzone, pizza, or a burrito?
Good question. Sandwich.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah. What is it? Is it a burrito?
It's a pizza burrito.
But it's not wrapped. It's more like a taco than a burrito.
No, it's wrapped. It's solid. Maybe I'm thinking stromboli.
You're thinking stromboli.
Yeah.
It's like a pizza folded in half.
No, you're right. It's
more like a taco.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was thinking stromboli.
Yeah. I'll tell you what it is. Delicious. And I don't care what outside of that, like, I don't fucking
call it whatever you want.
Yeah, call it what you want. If it's in front of me, I'm gonna eat it. Let's go, baby.
And then another one from Instagram, John Saunders asked, and this one I'm kind of gonna leave up to you. Like I've got opinions and know what I will buy, but like you have much more experience in terms of machine tool automation, OEM versus third party. You know, AWR versus an integrator versus DIY. What you got?
So I was just talking to, well, I'll kind of like throw it out there like right off the bat. Like DIY, I think in most cases, like I don't think it's worth it.
Right.
Like for the most part, like you see people like, I think Possum Solutions is doing a really good job, but he's using like the productive robot and like Chinese 0 point systems. And like, it's not like a very seamless thing, but like he's bootstrapping and he's having a good time and it's working out. So like, that's sick. And he's like pretty upfront about it. Like, and he got it going like fairly quickly. He's not one of these guys that's like, oh, I want to fucking build my own pallet system with like a used Kuka robot or whatever, and it's like, shut up. Like that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Because like, why would you do that?
Right.
But like, I think, and like Zach's another one who like DIY is like a totally viable solution, especially if you're using like a cobot, like a UR or the productive or productive.
I think productive.
I don't fucking know. It's like a $30,000 robot. It's good enough.
I played with it's
yeah,
neat.
Yeah.
I think it's productive robotics. That sounds right.
And so like, I think that is the aspect of like the DIY, like, cause it like URs are if you're a tinkerer and like decent enough with code and like
or know how to use Chat GPT at this point, or like
right?
Claude or whatever.
It's like you got it.
Yeah,
you know,
it's all Python.
Yeah,
easy.
It's a pretty good on ramp, especially if you're going like very like simple.
Mm-hmm.
When you start to get into like crazier things, like, and then I guess like now I'm gonna like back up a little bit. Is like I was talking to my Haas salesman today about their demo days and like what that is looking like, and we were talking about automation specifically, where they technically sell two, because they're Gossiger, they sell two types of and an HFO. They sell Haas automation and AWR,
right?
And so they kind of compete with themselves in that. And like that, I was actually talking to the GM of that HFO, and he's like, it's hard to sell like Kitamura when you also sell Haas. It's hard to sell, like, because they are kind of competing in the same market, and Haas financing just fucking eats everybody's lunch.
Right.
Like, so you like kind of cannibalize your higher margin stuff with financing. And that's the same kind of thing with the Haas automation, is like you get Haas financing.
Right.
Like at worst, you're looking at like 2%, which is like in this economy, it's like fucking free money.
Literally. Like, yeah.
And so like, but that being said, like that version of OEM isn't like actually like it is like half OEM, I would say. It's like a very interesting system. It's kind of limited, and it just like does what it does. Like the Haas does what it does.
Right.
And that's like an interesting way of saying that, but like you're not going to get anything more out of it than what it is. Like it's integrated into the control. It's going to be very easy to use. It's Haas. The other side of that is like, I think you have like some direct part loading options with that as well, which is kind of neat. They're probably one of the only OEMs that are doing anything direct part loading. Everybody else mostly is just like pallet loading, like Hermela with Aegis Flex or Matsuura or Yazda.
Hermela has the RS series though. That's direct part.
Right, that's true. And that's so like and I haven't seen one of those live in the flesh.
It's neat.
Yeah.
It's really neat. Like it does all the drawer. It's very, in terms of capabilities, like the RS05 is kind of similar to the E Plus robo drills, where it's like the drawer system, and you can just like have different drawers and different kinds of stock, and it'll know what's what.
The E Plus, it's probably better than the E Plus then. Yeah, because it's like Hermela does it.
Yeah.
So like I am a big proponent of OEM, right? Like I think like you are going to pay for it, right? Like it's typically going to be more expensive than, like definitely more expensive than DIY potentially. And
depending on how you cost out your time.
Right. Exactly.
And failures. And, yeah.
Yeah. And so like OEM, like the Matsuura pallet changers are like, it just works. A very nice, in my opinion, like, sorry, Mickey. Like, I think the interface is nice. It's really easy to interact with, to assign pallets and keep it running and whatever. It's just like, it's just there and it works. It's all in the same control. And like the Hermela system is pretty dope too. Yeah. And like, they just tend to like work better, but like, you know, some of them suck. Like I think Yazda makes a great machine, but I think their pallet like interface software fucking blows on the PX30. I don't like it. Like, but that's because it's not what they do. Like it really, in my opinion, highlights like, I mean, the PX30i is essentially a knockoff of the 7235E. Right. And it fucking shows.
Wait, you mean it didn't come out first?
Yeah. Yeah. And it like really shows like when Matsuura, who's been making them since the 90s. Right. Like this shit's dialed. It just works. Very easy to interact with. And then you basically have it's weird to call the Yazda a knockoff version because like iron wise, like and machine wise, it is a better, more accurate technically machine, but the usability of the machine versus the Matsura sucks in a way that's like, and the Mats, like I would just rather have the Matsura,
right?
You know, because it's just like a much better experience, and in like 90% of cases, the accurate, like the more accurate, like the accuracy of the Yazda is not really going to come into play, more or less. But yeah, that being said, like OEM, if you can afford it and it makes sense, do that.
Right.
Like automate within a third party, like automate within reach. Not a big fan,
right?
Personally,
and you've had some
experience,
upfront experience with that.
It's like kind of like Versabuilt stuff and whatever. But I think across the board, like it's all under one banner. Like, and this is he's not asking about that. This is just an example, but like automate within reach in general, like. From what I've seen, and I think they're fixing it, but like the product uniformity and software uniformity isn't really there. So maybe that'll change. Like they're getting rid of the VBX series and going.
Oh, really?
And I think it's going to like RBX or something.
Okay.
And it's more, which is truly more like it's more like a Haberle on steroids.
Oh, cool.
With like a big carousel.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes more compact. It doesn't eat up as much like floor space, but you get more capacity and less interference zones.
Sweet.
So maybe it's better. I don't know. But like personally, like if you're going to that like direct part load arena, like, I mean, I'm just going to say what I always say, lights out manufacturing.
Right.
They're the fucking best at it. Like if you're under 65 pounds or you're 65 pounds or under, which is like basically because you are exclusive integrator, like they're the best.
And it's what, a 30 is the top?
Yeah.
No?
30 kilograms. So that's like 65 pounds ish.
Right.
So like they're the best. They're the fastest. They're not the cheapest, but that's because like they're good. They're good. And they like white glove the shit out of the service, right? And like when we do projects together, it's like really neat. So like, hey, oh, you're redoing it. Like we build the fixture, we send it to them. They're like, they give us like, oh, do this, so that we can get in here and whatever, and make sure that like the customer has a very good experience and is like running parts and whatever. They're phenomenal. That's my guys. Like the advantage, like cost wise, obviously going third party, being able to add third party later could save you a ton of money, or it could cost you a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. Like OEM for pallets, I really want to see some of these. Like I can't imagine the Hermel is cheap. You know,
I've never gotten a quote on an RS series. I would imagine it's similar to an HS Flex in price.
Fucking money, baby.
But I maybe even cheaper because I guess there's not the rail that the robot needs to ride on either. I don't know.
Right.
But that's technically one less axis, right?
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Pallet wise, yeah, I just don't want to deal with third party stuff. Like especially with, I think, like a builder like Hermla, I don't know. Like this is just my intuition, but I feel like they're always going to have more access to more features for their automation to do than a third party just trying to integrate with Heidenhain.
Yeah. One of the things that I've seen like from like Fastums, for instance, is you can very easily get into a situation, I've seen it, where like Fastums and Machine Tool Builder start like pointing fingers at each other when it doesn't work.
Right.
Like, oh, we can't communicate. And Fastums like, it's them. And it's like, nope, these guys are just fucking idiots. And then like, but at the end of the day, customer loses.
Right.
Where like with Hermel and the HS Flex, it's cheaper when you buy it with it because they're going to like set it up in Germany, make sure it all works. Like it's going to be like pretty dialed. Then they're going to break it apart, ship it over here and then put it back together with like a high degree of confidence that it's just going to work.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen where they're made, and like the HS Flex cell is made like 100 yards away from where that C250 is probably assembled. You know, like it's
yeah.
I think that there's a big benefit of having one source of truth of like, hey, don't know what's causing this issue. Don't know if it's machine or robot. Come out and look at it. Like, it's not like, hey, I got to call 3 different companies. You know, if you've got an integrator in the mix, and then like you are, and then, you know, like I just, you know, to me, that would be tough, I think.
Right.
Because I'm just trying to make parts. Like you said, I think if I was going to trust any third party, it would be lights out because they just know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
and they're incredibly dialed. They're incredibly fast. Like it's very impressive. They're very impressive.
Yeah. All right. We have new end of podcast questions. Yeah. You Patreon members voted. You submitted your questions. I'm choosing the top 4 for now, and then I'll kind of sub in other ones as we go over the months. First up, one cam, metrology, or business tip or trick that helped you this week.
Punt. One sec. Yeah.
Let's skip to another one, and we'll come back to that one too, because I got to think on that as well.
Yeah.
What challenges are you facing, and where are you looking for help?
So most of my challenges right now are just like what I mostly face, which is just like time. I'm just like strapped for time. And like just based on like most things as of right now, it's like I'm not looking for help. Like I just no.
Right.
Like all the help I've been I tried and it fucked me. So I'm just like, I'm not looking for help. Right. It's been like, so the challenges have been like relationship wise, like where people like, I mean, like I said, like just letting me down and kind of like in a fucked up way, or then like making unfair, like weird, like personal pleas to me to like save them or whatever. It was fucking bizarre. No. I'm good. Yeah. Like technically everything is like, I don't really have like a ton of like, I mean, that sounds very like, that's a hubristic statement, but like, it's like, I don't really face a lot of technical challenges right now. It's just all scheduling challenges.
Right.
And like right now it's just doing the work. And so not really looking for help there. No, yeah, I'm not looking for help because like Chuck helps me already. So I'm good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would say right now it's just all about documentation, and it's, I think I'm not like looking for help, but I'm doing a lot of research on the best way to do that. Like, I don't know if that's Obsidian to continue to document, or creating a company wiki, or
I like the idea of a company wiki.
I do too. I just kind of have to.
I think the setup is a little annoying.
Right. I just have to noodle on it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But like that's kind of the next thing is like, where do we keep all this information? You know, we can keep some of it in Infab.
Right.
But like, you're not going to keep, at least right now, best practices or standard operating procedures.
Right.
Maybe eventually. But like for right now, we need a way to kind of document all that. So yeah, we're working through that. I'm excited for the challenge though.
Nice.
Like, I think it's going to be so awesome. Just be like, oh, go look at the wiki.
Yeah.
Like, why are you asking me?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And then like audit it, right? Where you have somebody who doesn't work in the business, which is like an experience that I had recently, which is like, oh, you don't work in the business? Use this tool.
Yeah.
And like, does this tool work the way I think it works? But like, am I internalizing? Do I have a lot of internalized knowledge that didn't make it to the tool?
Right. That was one thing I thought the NS guys did great, was talking about having their employee document so many things. And that way it was like written in his language, and like they could be there over his shoulder to like make sure that he didn't miss anything. But having the person who's going to be probably asking the most questions document it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
So I really like that.
That is good.
Work-life balance, what does it mean to you, and how do you manage it? Is there any difference from 5 or 10 years ago? Well, this one just keeps coming up today, dude. We're just hammering it home so that you understand.
So like, right now, no balance.
Yeah.
Right. Like I have a lot of people tell me that I need to sleep or I need to do this. So like there is no right now. Like, I mean, very thematically, like it's not very. There's just not much balance, and I'm not managing anything. Like, but I'm like very intentionally not managing it so that I will be able to manage it
in a couple months.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
From 5 or 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, I was working at Methods, I guess. And yeah, absolutely way different. Because I was just an apps guy.
Right.
I like would do my job and then I'd go home. And like that was it. Like that was like I had much like 5 years ago. No, not much different. A little bit different, but not a ton. But like 10 years ago, very different.
Right.
I was chilling. Yeah.
Work-life balance is definitely something I'm working on as well. Like I recently turned on a do not disturb thing on my phone so that only a couple different apps can notify me past like 9 p.m.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I got that on. I got that on right now.
Yeah. I turned mine off when we started this in case any other questions came in, but like usually 9 o'clock and then I think it's like 9 to 7 or something like that. Because guess what? I don't need Instagram notifications at midnight.
My Instagram notifications are always off.
Oh.
I never have those on.
I don't get a ton, so like I've just left them on. Well, I mean, I do when I ask for questions for an episode, but for the most part, it's not like insurmountable.
Dylan, I want to touch you.
Yeah, so it's definitely getting better. I'm really pushing hard to make that even better. You know, working more sane hours. And really, like, it just comes down to, like, utilizing my time better, not doom scrolling and not wasting my time doing stuff that, like, afterward. Again, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm just doing something that I can, like, in that moment be like, this is pointless.
Right.
Just stop.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Let's see. 5 years ago, I was still working at my last job. So things were super hectic. That was during COVID too. So my day job, occasionally I would have a few days off, or not off, but like working from home. We tried that for like a few months and then it didn't work at all.
Yeah. You just work out of the shop?
I would sometimes like I'd like do my work and then like the second that I could I'd just like cut and go to the shop. Yeah. I guess we're in January, so this was like just as COVID was breaking. But 10 years ago was like just as we started Prodium. So like I probably had better work-life balance then because at that point I just like didn't really give a shit about anything. I was going to school, working part-time, or no, still working full-time at like my first machining job and just had started Prodium, but it was like very much like, we'll get work when we get work, and very naive of like, oh man, I'm going to go full-time in 2 years and we're going to be rolling in the money and blah, blah, blah.
This is easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like work life I probably have
regressed.
Well, I think I probably have it the best now, but it's like a conscious effort.
Right.
Whereas back then I just had less responsibilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right. Back to the CAM metrology or business tip or trick. You got anything?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the CAM thing, like this is a dumb one, but it did like save my ass in the Esprit project is where these things, this part has these things called cluster holes, you know?
Okay.
And so they're like they're just at fucked up angles. And it's like, oh man, this is what one of the fucking jackwagon was having a problem with was these holes. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess they are kind of weird. And then I was like, oh, what's this button do? Hole recognition? Done.
No way.
No fucking problem.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was pretty fucked up. I was like, but then I was like, well, so I called the customer, like, because we're doing this for somebody. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hey, so I did this a different way, but was able to achieve the same result. Like, how is the result what matters, or do I need to like do it exactly how you did it? And he's like, no, that's perfect. And it's like sick. I just saved myself so much fucking time.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that like, as an Esprit thing, but like just in general, like to that point, and like really the thing is like there are sometimes sick ass tools built into the software that you might not know that will make your life very fucking easy.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I think I'm still gonna have to circle back to that one last.
Right.
So let's do the other one. This one I really like. Yeah. What thing that doesn't really pencil out have you bought that you wouldn't be without just for reduced aggravation?
So is that saying,
like, what thing have you bought that you can't really justify, like you can't make a good business case for, but like you're still very happy you bought?
I would say technically like the machine.
Okay.
Know? There is like whenever I talk to like Justin or whoever about it, it really ends up being like I could achieve everything through outsourcing, you know, like and just costing the job a little bit, like costing projects a little bit differently and doing the timeline a little bit different to account for outsourcing and everything. So like, does the machine actually pencil out? No. But is it sick to like be able to like better control the timeline and be a lot more flexible and like be able to make a little bit more money by like essentially like charging what I would charge, you know, or like what you'd normally like just like I'm making this part. It's, you know, $700 in material. So that equals, you know, $2,000 for the part right. or whatever. And like, so does it pencil? No. Right. Like, not really. I don't need it, but it does. Like the Matsura was like a really good proof of concept because it was very cheap. And like that really didn't pencil out, but it was like the deal is too fucking good not to do it. But it did prove the concept. Like when things are like, and I mean, it's comes back to scheduling still. But like when it works, like being able to like show up with fixtures and just fucking hit the button and go, like that's a fucking hot. And like making money on everything,
right?
Hot.
Well, it just makes you look like such a rock star too,
right. And again, could technically achieve that with outsourcing, but like I do like to be able to like feel stuff, you know,
right?
Like if I'm making the part myself, I can be a lot like more lax with the design and more flexible with the design, which happens, you know, like, oh, I didn't think about that. Like as you put something in, I just like buzz the corners out real quick, where if you outsource and I'm wrong, then oopsies, now I have to modify it at the customer or whatever. So that's what I would say. Like for me, that's going to be a hard one to answer over and over again. But
I don't know that we're going to go over these every time, but I did want to introduce them on this episode.
I do like that one. That is a good one.
I like that one a lot. I would say the two easy recent ones are obviously the saw. Like, did we need a almost $30,000 saw?
No.
Hell no. Has it been, like I said, the second best purchase of 2024? 100%. And I would do it again.
Right.
Like easily. It's been fantastic. And I'm daily reminded how good of a purchase it was.
Yeah.
Other one so far has been that floor cleaner.
Dude, that thing is like your floor is so fucking clean.
Yeah, and I haven't even gone around all the machines yet.
And we're gonna eat cake off the floor after this.
Right. I'm just gonna throw it on the ground.
Yeah.
But that, like, I never have been a giant fan of mopping. It sucks. It's
also not. It also feels like it doesn't really clean that much.
It's tough to get things very clean, and like that thing has like basically a red Scotch-Brite pad on it that is scrubbing the floor as it's using the Zep cleaner, and it just works. Again, I don't think I necessarily needed it, but I'm really glad I did. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, so that was another really good.
Clean space is a happy space.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
not enough plants out there, but you know. Yeah.
That new microscope too that I showed you.
That thing, sick.
Yeah. Like you can make a convoluted case of like, well, it's easier to inspect tools, and so therefore it pencils out. But like really what it comes down to is it just we started buying those. What it is, it's a new Mantis microscope from Vision Engineering, and it is a eyepieceless microscope that has very good 3D view of whatever is under it, and it's all optical. It's not digital at all. This one has a digital camera output, but that's not part of it. And we started buying them because Brad and I have different enough IPDs that every time I walked up to our microscope, the eye cups would be different than when I left them. And I was like, I hate this. I hate this so much. It's just like sucks. And so we bought an old one, and then they had a deal. I was like from IMTS through the end of the year, where if you traded in your old one, you got a new one at 25% off. And like the new one is so much easier to acquire your target in, and is so clear. And we've got a lens changer on it, and it's
crazy clear.
Oh, it's just so good. So can I pencil that out? If I really tried, but it's just so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's hot.
And like checking tool wear or like broken flutes or anything like that is just so freaking easy on it.
Would that be part of the metrology?
No, but I got one.
Okay.
I remembered. This is one I think I've talked about maybe a year ago on the podcast. It's something I always forget is Infusion. But if you get customer parts that have annoying features, like the parts that I was using it on this week had 1 thou chamfers on every wall. Mm-hmm. And there is it's like the modify menu. You go all the way down to simplify, and then you can hit delete features, and you can choose like countersinks, chamfers. I think Saunders has a great video on this as well, like kind of demoing it. But I just turned on chamfers, cranked it all the way down so it only detected the 1 thou chamfers, and hit delete.
Whoa.
There's no clicking faces. You just click on the body.
Nice.
Super, super easy. You can do it with holes too, and it'll auto heal all the holes away from the bodies. Like you can create a duplicate manufacturing model, delete all the holes, delete all the chamfers.
Nice.
Get a bunch of really clean surfaces to generate surfacing from.
Never fucked with that.
It's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And it'll auto find everything it thinks is in the slider, and then you can go in and just manually deselect stuff too.
Cool.
So
you can get really granular with it.
Yeah.
That's sick.
But I don't know if this is just me and my keyboard, but like when you're trying to select a bunch of surfaces and you're holding control,
sometimes it'll just unselect everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'm glad it's not just me.
Yeah. It's almost like Fusion has started doing crazy updates at an insane pace and like just constantly fixing and breaking things all the time.
I feel like this one's been broken for a long time though too.
Yeah. I only noticed it recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe it got worse. But like I had a model the other day where I had to click maybe 15 faces and I'd get through 13 every single time and it would unselect.
And you're like,
ugh. I ended up like smashing my keyboard a little bit. Like I didn't break anything, but I was getting heated. Yeah. Like it was already at the end of a very long day, and I was like, "Really? We're gonna do this today?"
Right. And you're just like, "Come on!"
Oh, I was getting real heated. Like I ended up hitting control, hitting 3 surfaces, taking my finger off, smashing my finger back down on control, hitting a few more faces.
Oh, that's why you have a cast on your finger.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, simplify works great.
Cool.
Dude, I think we've hit it.
Yeah.
I think we're both kind of cooked.
Yes.
We're both in burrito, post burrito.
Wonderland.
Yeah.
We're going to eat cake after this.
All right.
I'm going to make you eat cake.
Let them eat cake.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming down.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. Thanks to new Patreon members, Alexander and Michael. Y'all make this show possible. Thank you all for listening, and I'll be back next week.